Oh, sure, for some folks, it's just another football Sunday on a beautiful day in September. But it's also the last baseball Sunday in New York, and don't you forget it. Fans will be wearing their conflicted loyalties to the ballpark as the Mets close out their series with the Phils. At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball today. The Mets play the Philadelphia Phillies. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. I'm Gary Cohen. Keith Hernandez joins me in just a moment as the Mets wrap up their three-game series against the Phillies. Yesterday, a day-night doubleheader, and it all went the Mets' way. R.A. Dickey was magnificent, perfect for 5, and he held the Phillies hitless for 6 1/3 before Shane Victorino finally broke that up with a double. But Dickey fell behind in the game 1-0, and it wasn't until Valentino Pascucci hit his first home run in the big leagues in 7 years that the Mets got even in the 7th, and then David Wright provided the go-ahead double in the 8th, and that gave the Mets a 2-1 lead, and they held on to that. Manny Acosta came in for the save, and the Mets had themselves a 2-1 win in the doubleheader opener. Then last night, it was the defense of the Phillies that handed the Mets 5 runs. Hunter Pence dropping a fly ball in the 3rd, and the Mets took advantage of that, and after trailing 3-0 early, Dylan G was able to settle down once he got the lead. The Mets were up 6-3, and they rode that as Manny Acosta came in again to close things out. Get his second save in a day. First to do that since Armando Benitez 11 years ago. And the Mets had themselves a doubleheader sweep. And for the Phillies, now 8 straight losses. And this is a team that has not lost 8 straight in 11 years. And after clinching the National League East, they are not looking very sharp.
Well, the 8 straight losses and the big victims have been the offense. They have struggled offensively. They showed in the first 2 games in the day-night doubleheader yesterday. They move on to Atlanta next. So there might be games Atlanta needs to win. They'll be hungry, but I think it'll bring out the best in the Phillies. We'll see how that goes. But today they've got Halladay on the mound, and whenever you have your ace on the hill, and he's 18-6 on the year, it was like when I played with Dwight Gooden, you always kind of feel you're going to go out there and you're going to have a chance to win. Halladay, of course, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, 3-time 20-game winner. This year, 18-6. 2-0 against the Mets this year. Only pitched against them in April twice. Missed them the other couple times. 8-2 career.
Halladay also has an outside chance for his second straight Cy Young. He's pitching today, so is Clayton Kershaw, the front runner for the Dodgers. On the other side for the Mets, Mike Pelfrey makes the final start of what's been a disappointing season.
Well, it's been a tough year for Mike. After winning 15 games last year, it's been a up and down year, mainly down. And so he's given up a lot of home runs this year, a lot of base hits. It's just been a tough year. You know, Mike's a guy that throws hard, and, you know, should be a guy that should win 12, 13, 14, 15 games for you this year, but he's not going to win double digits this year.
So after the Mets took 2 yesterday, they go for the sweep of the Phils. Last Sunday of baseball at Citi Field. All the action coming your way on Pix 11. Walk Empire premiering tonight at 9, only on HBO. Javier Vasquez may be retiring at the end of the year, but he's finishing with a bang. Adrian Beltre leading the Rangers back into the postseason with a very hot finish. And the Brewers heading to their first division title since 1982. Their bullpen, led by John Axford and Francisco Rodriguez, has been spectacular. Here at Citi Field, Mike Pelfrey gets ready for his final start of 2011. It's the Mets and the Phillies. First pitch coming right up. Lineup today, although he shuffled things around a little bit. Chase Utley hitting second in the order for only the 5th time this year. He puts Hunter Pence in the 3-hole, drops Polanco down to 7, trying to find the winning combination for a team that has scored 3 runs or less in 15 of their last 17 games.
And on the mound for the Mets is Mike Pelfrey, going for his 8th victory. Mike currently is lost 4 out of his last 5, and you can throw in a couple of no decisions in there. So it's been a little staggering finish to the staggering finish for Mike here, and you never like to see more hits than innings pitched, and we have a lot of that on this staff. And we'll take a look at the defense, brought to you by Mazda. Dare I say, ready? Zoom, zoom.
Nicely done.
Thank you. 70 combined outfield starts this season for Mr. Harris. He's been all over the place. You got Baxter over there, so he gets a start. Turner Wright gets a rest today. There's Ryan Sandberg right there in the foreground of that pitcher, former MVP, Hall of Famer.
Well, the reason Harris, Priddy, and Baxter are out there is because the Mets' entire starting outfield is out and probably out for the rest of the year. Jason Bay just is not getting any better from the sinus infection that has felled him. He got 3 innings in yesterday before he had to call it quits. Angel Pagan and Lucas Duda both are still having headaches and some other symptoms of concussions, although they are not calling either one of them concussions right now. The Mets are treating them in that fashion, and so it's likely that neither Duda nor Pagan will play the rest of the year, and so Terry Collins going shorthanded. Roy Halladay getting himself ready for his final start of the regular season. His next assignment after today will be Saturday in the first game of the National League Division Series. And so they'll probably shorten him up a little bit today. Won't let him go beyond 100 pitches as they get him tuned up for that first postseason start. Of more import to the Phillies is the way their offense has been going, and Jimmy Rollins will try and get things started against Pelfrey, who will be facing the Phillies for the 6th time this season, and the first 5 have not gone well, pitching to a 6.84 ERA against Philadelphia. Rollins 3 for 8 in the doubleheader yesterday, and Pelfrey's first pitch of the day is swung and missed. 0-1.
Well, Rollins took an 0-for in the first game and had 3 hits in the second, including one was a drag bunt down the third base line.
And a fastball strike, and Pelfrey quickly out in front. 0-2.
There's been some bad blood in the past between Pelfrey and the Phillies. They don't like each other, and the feelings are mutual.
Well, the best remedy for that is to go out there and throw 7 scoreless innings, which has been difficult for Pelfrey against the Phillies. It's been difficult all year for Mike, and Terry Collins was talking about it before the game today, how he'll take a large portion of the responsibility for thrusting upon Pelfrey the load of being the opening day starter before spring training ever began. And you know, you look at Mike and he's a nice pitcher, but he's nobody's idea of an ace. And I think Terry was going by his record last year. Pelfrey won 15 games. But you remember that Pelfrey got off to an unbelievable start last year. Didn't pitch well at all the second half of last year. So this is really now a year and a half that Mike hasn't pitched well.
And you know, when you're a manager, Gary, and you're in spring training and you're asked, your ace is on the shelf all year, and that's obviously Johan Santana. You're going to be asked the inevitable questions you really don't want to answer. You know, who's your ace this year, and what's the flip side of the coin as far as answering? Well, we don't have an ace this year, then that's a negative thrown at your starting 5. So you've got to come with something positive. We've got a manager down there, Terry Collins, who came here with a very positive attitude and has maintained it through the year.
Ripped into right field, and Rollins has a leadoff hit. Nicely cut off by Baxter, and a hold Rollins to a single.
Well, Rollins always seems to get up for the Mets. And there is a bit of competition between him and Reyes, as Reyes also has a competition with Hanley Ramirez with the Marlins. But boy, Rollins just always comes here and swings the bat well.
So Rollins aboard. Got caught stealing yesterday, has 28 for the year. And here's Chase Utley hitting in the number 2 spot. Now, this is something that Utley has done a bunch in the past, but only the 5th time this year he's been asked to hit second. It's been a struggle for Utley after getting beamed 3 weeks ago by Eric O'Flaherty of the Braves. He missed a week, and since coming back, he's hitting just .222 without a home run or even an RBI. Utley has 4 career home runs against Pelfrey. He's hitting just .257 this year. Certainly not a good year from Utley's resume. Of course, he missed the first 7 weeks of the season with a knee injury. And he pops one up, shallow left, a long way to come. Out goes Turner into foul ground.
Oh,
he got it!
What a play.
Great play by Justin Turner. Over the shoulder, whacking the tarp, hanging on. Nice play.
I tell you what, this is as fine a play trying to negotiate the sidelines as you can have right there. And that is over the shoulder. That's a tough play. He is just hard-nosed. That is a fine, fine, fine play.
Well, Justin Turner has not shied away from contact in any area of the game this year, whether it's hanging in at second on a double play, hanging in on an inside pitch, and that time hanging in from a bout with the tarp. David Wright getting the day off today. Turner filling in at third, and he makes a terrific play for the first out of the game.
Well, we were talking earlier, Garrett. Hunter Pence, yesterday I should say, dropped that fly ball in right center field near on the warning track, and something he's usually sure-handed, and opened up the gates for the Mets. 5 runs, all unearned. And that was the difference in the ball game, enabled the Mets to fulfill their day-night sweep. But the Phillies just have not been playing well. They don't have the same, what would be the word, panache?
Well, Charlie Manuel said we've lost our mojo.
Yes.
I guess that's the best way to put it. Pence hits a charge into one deep to right, and Baxter goes back, watches it go out of here. A 2-run homer for Hunter Pence going the other way into the bullpen, and it's 2-0 Philadelphia. Number 21 for Pence, his 10th as a Philly. And that'll get your mojo back in a hurry.
Well, they jumped off early last night, and then the second game of that doubleheader, they jumped out to a 2-0 lead, actually 3-0 lead. But again, fastball belt high, outside corner, but belt high.
First run of the game brought to you by the all-new Chevy Cruze. Find the Cruze and 9 other Chevy models with 32 mpg at ChevyOffers.com.
It's interesting, Gary, when you have your ace on the hill, what it does for your offense. When you, well, now they got more than a few aces, and yes, they've lost 8 in a row, which is inexplicable. But when you have a guy like Halladay out there, it just kind of uplifts your offense.
Here's Ryan Howard, who played just one game of the doubleheader yesterday after missing 6 prior games with a problem with his heel. Well, close the bridges up in Boston because the spiral continues for the Red Sox. They just got a home run from Jacoby Ellsbury to get on the board after the Yankees jumped out to a 4-0 lead against Tim Wakefield. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay got a couple of first-inning home runs from B.J. Upton, Ben Zobrist, and lead Toronto 2-1.
I guess in Boston, when they order their martinis now, they're saying, hold the olive.
Well, the Red Sox lead is down to a game and a half in the wild card race in the American League. They've got a doubleheader in the Bronx today, a day-nighter. So by the end of the day, there's a possibility that the Red Sox and Rays could be dead even. Now, keep in mind that the Rays will be playing the Yankees the last 3 games of the regular season down in St. Pete.
It's very interesting when you, it's very seldom when a first place team becomes the spoiler, Gary. The Yankees had Tampa Bay in earlier last week. I'm sorry, not last week. Today's Sunday, the middle of the week. Swept the doubleheader.
Poked to left, and Ryan Howard has a base hit. 3rd hit of the inning off Pelfrey.
It's usually the second division teams that play the spoiler role, but the Yankees are beating up on everybody. That doubleheader sweep was devastating for Tampa.
And Boston has done that. Baltimore has done that too. They have really played spoiler,
right?
Beating the Red Sox and the Angels and the Rays over the last couple of weeks. And that's where Boston goes to finish the season. They go to Baltimore, so it does not appear as though it's getting a whole lot easier for the Red Sox.
Well,
and those guys couldn't care less. In the air to right field, off the bat of Victorino. Back goes Baxter, and it's over his head and off the fence. It ran the doorway. Howard, who is running on a bad heel, lumbers into 3rd, and Victorino has a double, and Pelfrey's just getting shelled here in the opening inning.
Fastball, cutter right down the pipe, flat. Let's see where that hit. Good call, Gary. Yep. Nicely played by Baxter off the wall. Boy.
And Howard is just not running well.
Well, we showed him last night. He is hurt. And I have got to believe that the Phillies were playing 500 ball down the stretch here. He would be rested and healing that thing for the playoffs. But they've got to get the engine running here.
Well, they've got a pretty good start to that engine roaring here in the first inning. 4 hits, 2 runs home, and a chance for a whole lot more. Raul Ibanez 2 for 5 yesterday.
Mets playing the infield back.
Now you're already down 2 runs. You got Halladay against you, and you're playing the infield back.
Base hit, Brody blows it open.
Yeah.
I would concede the run, Gary.
It's a tough call.
It is. I would play it back.
Because when you face Halladay, you don't expect to get more than 1 or 2.
And he's showing faith in his offense, Mr. Collins. This is a team that has not laid down and died. They've made a lot of comfort behind victories.
Of course, today the Mets are playing a rather offbeat lineup. A lineup that might not pass muster if you fielded it in a spring training game. Splitter fouled away.
Boy, it's so nice just to have one game today, isn't it? We get to go home after the game. Garrett?
That's right. You're not hanging around the ballpark for a few hours.
Oh, boy. I tell you what, that was a rough one. You were out superb last night in that second game.
Oh, yeah.
I was ready to fall asleep.
It was a high-quality product right there.
And our producer, Greg Picker, he picked up on it right away. He got in my ear and said, "We don't want to lose you, Keith. Gary's working hard, too. Wake up."
So did you feel like you picked up your game at that
so
point?
I said, "Okay, I'm not going to look at college football scores. I'm going to get involved with you."
You know, one thing about a great athlete, they generally respond to coaching.
Yes.
2-2 from Pelfrey. And Ibanez hits one out to right. Baxter is there. Howard will tag. He's going to come in to score, bad heel and all, as the throw goes to third. Sacrifice fly for Ibanez. Makes it 3-0 Phillies.
Another loud out right there.
So 3 runs are in. Victorino still at second with 2 out. And here's Polanco, 0 for 4 in the doubleheader yesterday, hitting at .278 for the year. Polanco 14 RBIs against the Mets this season. But like many of these Phillies players, he is not 100% physically.
Remember I'm sorry, Gary, I just stepped on you. Go right ahead.
That's okay. I was just going to say this is an older Phillies team, and they've got a lot of aches and pains heading toward the postseason. Polanco flies out to end the inning. Pelfrey gives up 3 in the opening inning. He had allowed just 1 home run in his previous 10 starts, but Hunter Pence takes him the other way for a 2-run shot, and the Phillies roaring to a 3-0 lead. In engineering, I think you were at late odds at the beginning of the season that we'd see a game this year where Willie Harris was hitting third and Nick Evans hitting cleanup. First time in Evans' career he has batted cleanup. Reyes second in the National League in batting behind Ryan Braun, who is batting right this moment in Milwaukee facing Ricky Nolasco. Reyes a point behind.
There's the man of the hour right there. 18 and 6, 2.41 earned run average, third in wins and ERA in the National League, second in innings pitched, fourth in strikeouts, and first in complete games. And his name is Roy Halladay.
Well, he won the Cy Young last year. He might fall a tad short this year, but only because Clayton Kershaw's had such a magnificent season. Reyes has had a hit in each of his last 4 games, but in each case it's been just 1 hit. He's got spectacular career numbers against Halladay. 11 for 26. It's a .423 average against one of the best pitchers in the game. In fact, Reyes's batting average is second among players with at least 20 at bats against Halladay. Only Jim Thome has a higher batting average against Halladay. Reyes, Tejada, and Harris in the opening inning for New York. And Reyes lofts one out to right field. Hunter Pence camped under it. 1 away.
We'll take a look at the Metropolitan defense, brought to you by Mazda. Excuse me, the Philly defense. And Pence last night wants to forget about that error, but nevertheless, he's got a strong arm out there. Not only gave him the bat that they needed and the right-handed bat in the lineup, gave him a corner outfield position that plays well and has a great arm. And there's David getting a day off.
I would both ends of the doubleheader yesterday.
I would be inclined to ask David if I was the manager of the team and say, look, you want the next series off, you want the rest of the season off. You played hard all year. We can play Turner at third and Tejada at second.
And you know what his answer's going to be?
No, and then I'd have to say, well, guess what? I'm going to have to make a Custer decision. I'm going to sit you down the rest of the way. Just sit and relax.
Is that what General Custer did?
I won't order him down into the valley. The little bighorn, but
maybe they should have sat back and relaxed.
I'll order him on the bench. just to watch. Let Turner and Tejada play the rest of the way, and let David just sit and chill.
1-2 to Ruben, who's 2 for 7 in this series, and since being recalled on the 8th of August, hitting .315, turned in a big hit last night. Grounds one to the left side, and Polanco backs off to play it, 2 out. And even more importantly, Tejada stole a key base in the game yesterday, the first game. Tie game, 8th inning, got aboard ahead of right, and in a key spot, stole a base and got that go-ahead run at scoring position. Here's Willie Harris, swinging the bat better right now than he has all year. His last 27 games, hitting .341. Second straight game, he's hit third in the order. Only the 4th time in his career, and he takes a strike. Well, the Phillies are heading for the postseason, so scouts from all over among teams that are in the postseason watching the Phillies play. Halladay handles the comebacker and makes quick work of the Mets. A 10-pitch opening inning and a 3-0 Philly lead after 1. Near you.
Well, the Cadillac keys of the game. Well, Reyes, stay hot. Obviously, Gary mentioned how he hits Halladay well, and maybe we can bring it back up. Pelfrey, and on a positive note, well, Hayes, give up 3 in the first. You throw a goose eggs up the rest of the way. That's ended on a positive note.
Well, that's what Dylan G did yesterday.
Yes,
gave up 3 runs in the first 2 innings, looked awful, and then settled in and gave the Mets 6 innings and wound up with his 13th win. Carlos Ruiz leading off in the second. Ruiz 1 for 4 yesterday, and he is finishing strong, unlike many of the Philly hitters, hitting .350 over his last 31 games, and he takes one the other way for a leadoff hit. So the Phillies getting it rolling again here in the second. Ruiz aboard, and Roy Halladay coming up. Halladay, remember, began his career in the American League in Toronto, so he is relatively new to swinging a bat with regularity in games, and all he's done this year is tie for the league lead in sacrifice bunts. He has 15 sacrifices this year. This is a guy who works as hard at his craft as anybody in the game, and even, you know, the peripheral elements like hitting. He's not a very good hitter, but he has become an outstanding bunter.
You can help yourself with the bat as far as sacrificing runners in scoring position. I'm stating the obvious there.
And he gets down a beauty of a bunt. That's 16 sacrifices and the league lead for Halladay. 3-4 moves Ruiz up to second. So one away, and here's Rollins, who singled to right and scored a run in the opening inning.
The Phillies came into last night's game 14th with runners left on base, and it showed in spades last night.
Yeah, the breaking ball in for a strike.
You know, Gary, we get all that paperwork. I just feel like it's such a waste of, you know, our forest out there. We turn all that wood into paper. You know, I know it's recyclable, but you know, we get this, that, hits and this, hits and that. But you know, the team statistics the stuff that I like the best. You know, runners left and on base. Okay, fine. That's a good barometer. I like runners in scoring position, but my favorite is I want to know what a team hits runners in scoring position late and close. I like that one. 7th inning on.
It's sharply, and nice play by Tejada. Gets Rollins 2 out as Ruiz moves over to third.
Any particular statistic that sticks out for you?
I think that you make an outstanding point, because I think that there's been such an expansion of the number of statistical elements that are available, and a lot of them are extremely useful. I mean, the you know, for individuals, OPS, you know, on base plus slugging has become the kind of the baseline for people to work from. But to me, the problem with any cumulative statistics is that they don't talk about what wins games. In other words, in basic statistics, whether it's home run totals or OPS or whatever it is, the hit that you get when it's 10-0 counts the same as the hit when it's 1-0. And to me, what's important is what moves the dial, what changes the percentage chance of your team winning the game. And that's obviously what you're talking about, late and close. And I know that Elias, in fact, has begun to accumulate a database the last couple of years. You know, there's a win percentage. If you use a computer at any point in the game, you can calculate what the percentage chance is that your team is going to win at a given time. Like the Phillies, by scoring 3 runs in the first inning, pushed their chances of winning probably up to 80-85%. And every action that happens in a game, like this base hit, makes it more likely that the Phillies are going to win, as Utley drives in the run and makes it 4-0 Philadelphia. So what Elias has begun to do, they've begun to look at how players move the chances of winning. Every act by a player, whether it's a pitcher getting an out or a hitter getting a hit or vice versa. So the more important the hit, the more points you accumulate. And that, to me, is the most important thing that you can do, show who helps your team best win the game.
I think important, too, from an offensive point of view, is 2-out RBI. I know I harp on it all the time. But the 2-out RBI is the toughest RBI to get. And, okay, fine. Early in a ball game, when it's a hole, but late and close, the 2-out RBI, I would like to know that.
Here's Pence, who hit an opposite field 2-run homer his first time. And he takes a slider for a strike. 0-2. Well, the Phillies last night in game 2 had 6 hits in the first 2 innings against Dylan G and scored 3 runs. They've got 5 hits in the first 6 hits now in the first 2 innings against Pelfrey, and have scored 4 runs. There goes Utley. Pence strikes out, inning over. So Pelfrey has his first strikeout, but the Phillies tack on a run. Utley with the 2-out hit makes it 4-0 Philadelphia. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Boardwalk Empire. Premieres tonight at 9, only on HBO. PHIATNYN.com. Browse the largest online selection of authentic team gear, including official caps, t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and more. Get your team gear straight from the source. Shop the Mets.com shop. Nick Evans leads off the second inning. Nick hitting cleanup for the first time in his career. 2 for 8 in this series. Had a double and an RBI in the game last night. Nick's now at 158 at bats this season.
Been a big opportunity for Nick to get a chance to play every day. It's something he really hasn't never had. You know, spot playing, a little bit of playing time, but this is the most he's had to go out there and show what he can do on a day-to-day basis.
Now the question is, where does that leave him as far as this team is concerned next year?
Well, I think it's definitely thrust him into the mind of to see what the Polanco will make the play here. He does. I really think when Nick got sent down the first time, he was sent down twice this year. Was he up twice or just once? He got sent down once.
At least twice, maybe 3 times.
Yes, and I think that at the second time or third time he got sent down, I thought he pretty much was off the radar screen as far as the management was concerned. And he came back up, and was a different player. Ever since he struck out the 3 times with the bases loaded, took 3 straight fastballs.
It was in Philly, right?
Yes. Ever since then, it just completely turned around for him.
Here's Justin Turner hitting 5th in the order, and he takes ball 1. Well, next year, you certainly don't think about Nick as being a starting player, but he has shown that he can play both corners on the infield and both corners in the outfield. And I think at this point he has enough major league experience that you would keep him as a right-handed bat off the bench.
Absolutely. You wish that he could run a little bit better. It's not slow, but he's not fast. I'd say a little bit below average speed. But I tell you what, he's impressed me so much defensively at first base, and I think that's what caught the eye of Terry Collins and Sandy Alderson, is that you've got someone, you don't know with Ike Davis next year what's going to happen with him physically. You may have to, you know, it's a severe, obviously a severe ankle injury. We had with the bone. You may have to rest him, and you got someone in there that's not, that you can put at first base and not be a liability.
1-2 to Turner, and he hits it out to center field, chasing Victorino back, well back and over his head. And Turner heads for second in with a 1-out double. Well, the Mets have their first hit off Halladay. Victorino loves to play shallow, and he got burned that time by Turner.
Well, I think Victorino didn't think this ball was hit that good. Hanging slider right there over the middle. And we know that Turner's a good breaking ball hitter. And Victorino kind of did the Curt Flood there, didn't he? He kind of broke sideways first, and that was the difference.
29th double of the year for Justin Turner.
For you young kids that don't know, the Curt Flood move was the 7th game of the World Series against the Detroit Tigers, where Curt Flood, the perennial Gold Glove outfielder for the Cardinals, misplayed a line drive off the bat. Was it Northrup?
Jim Northrup.
Off Jim Northrup, and cost the Cardinals the World Series. They beat Bob Gibson in '68 after that great year in '7.
Mike Baxter getting his 5th start for the Mets, and he rolls one off his foot, a foul ball. Baxter has had 24 at bats, hitting .250. Well, Turner now with 29 doubles. That's 1 behind Jose Reyes for the club lead. Ronnie Polino catching today, waiting on deck. Yankees have just added a run and lead the Red Sox 5-1 in the 5th. Evan Longoria's hit a home run, and Tampa Bay leads Toronto 4-1 in the 4th. Things are getting nastier and nastier for Red Sox Nation.
Would that be something if you wake up in the morning tomorrow and Tampa Bay is tied with the Red Sox?
Tell you what, Red Sox don't win this, they knock the Mets right out of the books. This will be the worst collapse ever.
Well,
they were 9 games in front of September the 3rd. Breaking ball just misses 2-2. The Angels are still in it, 2.5 behind.
Hanging on. But they got 2 teams to climb over. That makes it tough.
Meanwhile, in the National League, the Braves 2 games up on the Cardinals. Braves are scoreless after 3 in Washington, and the Cardinals are scoreless
facing the Cubs. That game's in the second in St. Louis. By the way, did you see what happened after the Cardinals won yesterday? They beat the Cubs on a wild pitch in the bottom of the ninth inning, and in the celebration, La Russa got punched in the jaw by one of his players accidentally. Had a big welt on his jaw. Swing and a miss, and Baxter is out on strikes. Halladay has his first strikeout, and that's the second out of the inning.
Well, you don't think of Halladay as a strikeout guy. He's not overpowering, but guess what? He's sneaky.
That's 218 strikeouts.
Precisely.
Third in the National League.
That's my point. Not too many guys strike out 200.
And he's done it now for the 5th time in his career.
Yep.
Over 200 innings for the 6th straight year. Here's Polino, 0 for 1 in the doubleheader yesterday, and he takes a strike. Ronnie making his 54th start for the Mets. His playing time has diminished greatly coming down the stretch, as Josh Tolley has done the bulk of the catching, and Mike Nickias has gotten his turns as well. Easy play for Utley, and so Halladay works around the double by Turner. Mets are done in the bottom of the second after 2 at Citi Field. 4-0 Philly. Freedom Tower goes up a little bit more every week, doesn't it?
It is right there. Yep, there's the crane on top.
It's going to be beautiful when it's done. Ryan Howard leads off in the 3rd inning against Mike Pelfrey. Howard floated a single to left and scored a run in the opening inning. We were talking earlier about the fact that the Phillies are an older team, and you look around and you see Howard, who's over 30 with a heel injury, and Utley, who suffered through the hip and the knee and lately gotten beamed. You look at Ibanez, who's 39 years old, and he's stayed relatively healthy. Rollins, who has clearly slowed down. And this team at this point, from what we've seen, is so dependent on their pitching. You wonder when push comes to shove in the postseason and they're facing, better pitching staffs, whether it's Milwaukee or Arizona, whoever it is, how that offense is going to perform, whether those guys are going to be able to grind it out through 3 rounds of the postseason.
Well, last year they didn't make it. They ran into the buzzsaw with that pitching staff of the Giants, who wound up winning the whole shebang. There's Carlos Ruiz, catcher, one of the leaders of this team.
Right into the shift, and Tejada playing in the outfield. Plenty of time to throw out Howard for the first out. And the other piece for the Phillies that is a big question mark is their bullpen. I mean, once you get past Ryan Madsen, who's done an awfully nice job as the closer, it's been kind of a flip of a coin.
Bastardo had a kind of a tailed off in the end. The young left-hander that I love, but he kind of faded. Lidge is not the same. It's not what he used to be. He's had to overcome injury. But this is a team that's won 4 straight divisions. So how long can you keep a unit together? 5 straight, excuse me. And from looking at it from that point of view, it's been a success, this group. And how long can you keep a group together? You got to funnel back in.
Well, the offense has been just middle of the pack this year, with a lot of people coming and going because of injury as the year has gone along, and they've never really hit their stride offensively. But again, when you've got the ace pitchers, Halladay and Lee and Hamels, able to go out there and go potentially 8 or 9 innings every time they start in the postseason, that's supposed to be the biggest advantage of all. And certainly they have ridden that this year. They've been the best pitching staff in baseball, and they've won 98 games, notwithstanding the fact they've lost the last 8. 1-1 to Ibanez, who drove in a run with a sacrifice fly his first time up. And this guy's a marvel because, we've been talking a lot in recent months about the fact that, players don't last much beyond 35 anymore, that the worm has turned in the post-steroid era. But this guy keeps going out there and playing every day and has had, not his best season, but certainly another productive season at age 39.
Well, the players do take care of themselves better. They work out much more than the older days, but Father Time will catch up with you sooner or later. Some quicker than others. Sometimes I think it's just fate.
Fate?
You get an injury that will nag you the rest of your career. You never know how the dice are going to fall. It's just,
well, the same injury that might cost you a couple of weeks at 23 might nag you for a long time at 35.
Well, look at the injury to Ike Davis. I mean, who would have thought it would have taken a whole season away? It was a sprained ankle, we thought, right? And here he is. He's missed all year.
I think that's just a fluke. So I guess that's what you mean.
Yes.
Out to right center. Baxter over to cut it off. They'll hold Ibanez to a single. Baxter's had a lot of work out there in right field early in this game. Had 7 hits now off Pelfrey. So a 2-out single for Ibanez, and now here's Placido Polanco. Polanco fly to right his first trip. Phillies having scored 4 runs today. It's only the 3rd time in their last 18 games they've scored more than 3. Charlie Manuel certainly made his points after the game yesterday, saying they were out of sync, they'd lost their mojo, that they don't look like they're putting out the effort. But he made a statement today by playing his A lineup. He's been given different players rests to try and get them ready for the postseason, but he's got all of his frontline guys in there today.
Well, he's a no-nonsense guy, Charlie, and we had a great shot of him. Just a brief shot after the second game last night when they lost, and our director, Dan Barr, got a shot of Charlie right after that game that I thought was very telling. He was not happy, and it's not the least bit surprising that he came out here with his A team. A long day at the ballpark yesterday, 2 games, and running them back out there. I mean, Rollins played both games yesterday.
So did Victorino.
Yep.
He has not handled this losing streak with an even temper. He's a little angry. Here's a 3-1, and Polanco takes a high strike.
Oh.
Vic Carapazza giving Pelfrey a little benefit there. 3-2.
Well, I'm usually a big strike zone guy. I thought that was high.
So now Ibanez will run with 3-2 and 2 out. And Polanco fouls one off.
It's New York's genuinely different newscast. If you like Jody Applegate on the Pix 11 News at 10, you're going to love her at 5. Watch the new Pix 11 News at 5 weekdays on Pix 11. Another 3-2 coming to Polanco, and he fouls off another one.
Very defensive swing by Polanco. Remember the great start he got off to earlier this year before he was hurt. He was hitting around 340. He's slowed down.
He's been battling a sports hernia that kept him on the disabled list for a while. He's been back for a month, but has not been the same since.
And he lines one into left field. That's a base hit. And with Ibanez going, he's now hitting third and heading home. It's an RBI double for Placido Polanco, and the Phillies tack on another. It's 5-0.
Slider hanging. Just didn't even break. And with Ibanez running this ball in the corner, and see Harris way in the gap, and rightly so. And that was an off-speed helicopter. It might have been a split finger that didn't do anything. I think it was a slider. And that's really the only pitch that Polanco can catch up to and pull.
So now the Mets will intentionally walk Carlos Ruiz and pitch to Halladay. So Pelfrey has been unable to settle in at any point in his final start of the year. One thing Pelfrey has been able to do this year is to continue to go out and be durable. It's his 33rd start. He'll finish with more than 190 innings. But the results just have not been what he or the Mets would have liked. I mean, talk about durability. Since 1990, that's what, 21 years now? The Mets have only had 4 pitchers make 33 starts in back-to-back years, and Pelfrey is one of the 4.
Halladay pokes one the other way, and he has a base hit. Polanco turns third, heading home. Baxter's throw to the plate on the hop, and Polino puts on the tag for the out. Well, Mike Baxter's had himself a fine day in right field, and he throws a perfect one-hop strike to Polino to gun down Polanco and end the inning. So that helps out Pelfrey, who gives up another run. Good block of the plate by Polino. 5-0 Phillies in the middle of the third at Citi Field.
Roy Halladay back to the mound after his base hit in the top of the inning. Halladay last year was the unanimous winner of the National League Cy Young Award, and I don't know if there's going to be a unanimous winner in the National League this year, as Jason Pridey leads off in the home third, and Josh Satin has come out on deck to bat for Pelfrey. But I do know that in the American League, if there's not a unanimous Cy Young Award winner, there's going to have to be an investigation.
Mr. Verlander.
Verlander finished his season yesterday and got no decision. Gave up 5 runs in 7 innings, which is the first poor start he's had in a long time, as the Orioles wound up beating the Tigers in that game. But Verlander finished 24-5 with a 2.40 ERA, leading the league in strikeouts. He's going to win. Perhaps it looks like he's going to win the pitching triple crown as Utley makes a nice stop, and Howard can't handle the throw, and Pridey's safe at first. Utley made a terrific play sliding onto the outfield grass.
You've got to wonder, though. I know that Howard hasn't got the quickest footwork at first base, but you got to catch that ball, don't you?
They just scored that a hit. That's got to be an error on Howard. No? You got to catch that.
It's got to be an error either on Howard or the second baseman, Utley.
I mean, certainly Pridey was not going to beat it out. I don't know how you can score that a hit. But Pridey gets a gift from the official scorer, and now Josh Satin will bat for Pelfrey. So Mike Pelfrey's season, at least as a starter, has come to an end. Terry Collins has hinted Pelfrey might be available as a relief pitcher Tuesday or Wednesday. But Mike, in his last start of the year, goes 3 innings, allows 5 runs and 9 hits, an intentional walk and a strikeout and a home run. So certainly not the finish that Pelfrey wanted to his season. He winds up giving up over 100 earned runs this year. Utley and Rollins turn the double play. Howard scoops it out of the dirt. 4-6-3, 2 out and nobody on. DJ Carrasco getting ready to pitch in the 4th inning. Pelfrey's ERA settles in at 4.74. So here's Reyes, who's 0 for 1 today. Ryan Braun is also 0 for 1 in the Brewers game against Florida. Here are the final numbers on Pelfrey today. So Reyes right now is at 329 and Braun is at 330. Matt Kemp plays later on. He's at 325. You see the expanded numbers. And a 2-hopper for Utley to play. And so Reyes is 0 for 2 and Halladay is through the 3rd. On to the 4th we go at Citi Field. 5-0 Phillies. streak and leading the Mets 5-0. Mike Pelfrey done after 3 innings, leaving for a pinch hitter, and so DJ Carrasco comes on to pitch in the 4th.
Well, it hasn't been a good year for Carrasco, to say the least. He has been batted around. They got him throwing sidearm now, which is usually plan B. A lot of hits per innings pitched. Doesn't walk people, but there's too many hits he's given up. And long ball has hurt him this year. And we got a little conversation there between the pitching coach, Dan Worthen, and Terry Collins. I wonder if they're discussing Mr. Pelfrey.
Wouldn't you like to be a fly on the dugout net?
No, you can get hurt on the net. On the wall. Behind the net.
Yeah, he might be too far away on the wall. I'm trying to get you up close. Top of the batting order, Jimmy Rollins leads off against Carrasco and takes a strike. Meanwhile, in the Bronx, Jacoby Ellsbury has homered for the 2nd time in the game, his 30th of the year. He might hit 40 if he played in that ballpark every day. In any event, it gets the Red Sox a little closer. 5-2 they trail the Yankees.
So 2 solo shots.
That's it. It's been their offense today.
So that's Lackey against Nova. But how about Nova? 16
no, it's Burnett today.
Oh, Burnett.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Burnett has the Red Sox number.
And it's Wakefield in the first game. Rollins dumps one in front of Pridey for a bloop single. So Rollins has his 2nd hit of the game. And the hits just keep on coming for the Phils. 3rd time in 4 innings they've had the leadoff man on. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay still up 4-1 in the 5th over Toronto.
That's quite a story, that Ivan Nova, isn't it? Sent down 16-4. When he got sent down, he was successful. Tough game, huh? What do I got to do?
He's going to be the number 2 starter for the Yankees behind Sabathia.
16-4. I don't care which way you slice it. That's pretty doggone good.
Utley is 1 for 2. Single to left, drove in a run in the 2nd after Turner made a spectacular catch in foul ground the first time. Polino's throw on the stolen base attempt not nearly in time. And Rollins has his 29th steal of the year.
Boy, he was slow getting rid of the ball here. Watch this. No, not really. Nothing much he can do there.
Well, with Carrasco throwing sidearm, it looks like he's even slower to home plate than he is coming over the top. Now it's 2-0 to Utley. And it's blown away, ball 3. Well, Ryan Braun just picked up an infield hit in his 2nd at bat. So he's 1 for 2 on the day. And that moves him up to 332. There's ball 4 to Utley. So Braun is now 4 points ahead of Reyes for the batting lead.
And that's trouble.
Officially 3-3-1-5-3 to 3-2-8-2-4. So it's about 3 1/3 points. Braun is ahead. Here's Pence, who had an opposite field 2-run homer back in the 1st, then struck out in the 2nd, 1 for 2. And Carrasco just having trouble throwing the ball over the plate. Interesting that all 3 teams that clinched on Friday night, the Rangers, the Diamondbacks, and the Brewers, all won yesterday. That the Diamondbacks put up 15 runs against the Giants. And Ian Kennedy got his 21st win.
Pretty strong statement for Kirk Gibson being manager of the year in the National League. Who would have thought Arizona would have won the division?
Well, broken bat flare, and it's a base hit for Pence. Rollins around 3rd. He'll score easily. Utley goes 1st to 3rd. Hunter Pence drives in his 3rd run of the game with a broken bat single. 6-0 Philadelphia. Talking about making a statement. Charlie Manuel trying to have his team make a statement today after 8 straight losses, and they have just put it all together.
Well, when it rains, it pours, and not just a sliver of a bat.
You can put that one on eBay. 6-0 Phillies. They now have 11 hits. Still nobody out in the inning. Here's Howard, who's 1 for 2, an opposite field single, scored a run in the first. Well, DJ Carrasco is one of 6 Mets who is under contract for next year. Now, it's not a big number. It's, what, about $1 million that they owe him for next year, which they say it's not a big number. For real people, that's a big number. But for a baseball salary, not an enormous amount. But off what you've seen this year from Carrasco, you know, you have to really wonder whether the Mets will eat that second year or try and trade him or bring him to spring training and give him another shot at it. It's just been a completely lost year for DJ. Well, didn't start the year well. They gave him an ill-fated start in Atlanta, sent him to the minor leagues, spent almost 2 months in the minors.
Which is shades of Sean Green. And the Mets got him from Seattle, if you remember, and turned him into a submariner. Just didn't get the job done, so we'll see how that plays out. Like I said, we talked about it yesterday. It's going to be a very, very, very interesting offseason to see what Sandy Alderson does in the offseason.
Another rocket to right for Howard. That's a base hit. Utley walks on in. Howard with an RBI single. 7-0 Phillies. RBI number 115 for Ryan Howard. He's second in the league behind Matt Kemp.
Well, I don't agree with him going sidearm against the left-handers. Don't like that idea at all.
Well, it was really a desperation move. The sidearm thing is something he would do occasionally earlier in the year, but the results had been so poor, he and Dan Warthen decided to give it a shot the rest of this season and see how it goes. But really, the results, if anything, have been worse. Victorino's 1 for 2, double to right center and flied out. Still nobody out in the inning. Pence at second and Howard at first with 2 runs home against Carrasco.
There's Charlie. He's kind of motioning, looked like he was motioning to Howard.
Probably ask him if he wants to come out with that bad heel.
You know, does Howard want to hit? Does he feel uncomfortable at the plate? Does he need more at bats?
Victorino takes the breaking ball for a 3rd strike, and Carrasco has the first out of the inning. And Victorino goes away unconvinced. So 1 out. Now Ibanez, a sacrifice fly and a single, scored a run in the 3rd. In St. Petersburg, Dwayne Wise homered for Toronto. It's now Tampa Bay 4, Toronto 2. That game's in the 5th. And Victorino takes, Ibanez takes a strike. Del Thayer gets up in the Mets bullpen. Mets were a little thin in the bullpen today. Manny Acosta pitched in both games yesterday, not available. Jason Isringhausen still not available as Polino has his mask knocked off by that foul ball. 0-2. That'll wake you up.
Mm-hmm. He even hasn't got his max. Looks a little cockeyed.
And Acosta 2 saves yesterday. That's a rarity.
Oh.
And Ibanez gets plunked by the curveball. So Carrasco hits Ibanez to load the bases.
Slider. Can't get out of the way of that one.
Just kept following him. So now the base is loaded with 1 out. Now Polanco will bat. And John Mayberry is going to come in and run for Howard. So I guess Charlie Manuel finally won that argument.
Smart move.
So Howard, who went 2 for 3 on the day, ambles off on that sore left heel. Remember yesterday he went sliding into the sidewall, making a terrific catch of a foul pop-up, and he jammed his right foot against the wall. Said he hurt his toe when he did that, but it was a little consequence to Howard. but the heel that was hurting him was not involved. See, the right leg hits the wall.
Right.
But it's the left heel that has been the problem for him, and that one he had folded under him. Said the toe hurt for a little bit, but then he was okay. Ball and a strike to Polanco, who doubled in a run his last time up. And the curveball taken low, 2 balls and a strike. So Pence is at third, Mayberry the pinch runner at second, and Ibanez at first with 1 out. And Dale Thayer going to the bullpen. 6 have batted here in the 4th. Carrasco's retired only 1 of them. And it's taken the other way, a foul ball.
Oh, nice try.
And that ball rarely gets by Anthony down the line. Went for the short hop and came up empty. He's been so good all year.
Well, he had good reactions. He really came in quick, charged it.
Said, next one, it's mine. To Polanco. Now on the outside corner, Polanco certainly didn't think so.
Well,
so both Victorino and Polanco have been called out on strikes in this inning. 2 borderline calls by Vic Carapazza. Polanco second toughest in the league to strike out behind Jose Reyes. So 2 out, bases still loaded, and here's Ruiz, who has singled to right and been intentionally walked. This is hooked into shallow left, and on comes Harris. It'll drop for a base hit. Pence scores, Mayberry scores. 2 more runs are in for the Phillies on the blue pit by Ruiz, and it's 9-0.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, this is one of those days when everything's falling for the Phils.
Well, poor Carrasco, too. 2 bloopers. The bloop single to start the inning off the bat of Rollins, and then here, just raining on his season.
So 4 runs are home in the inning, and now Halladay, the 9th man to bat. Halladay's already had a successful day at the plate, a sacrifice, and an opposite field single. Bats here with 2 out and 2 on. So Ryan Howard can take the rest of the day off, pack up his gear, get ready to go to Atlanta. Hit hard, and a nice play by Evans laying out to deny Halladay another hit, and that retires the side. 9 men came to bat for the Phillies. 4 runs scored. Could have been more, but for a fine play by Nick Evans. 9-0 Philadelphia. Wally Backman, who managed in Double-A this year. Wally's filling in as first base coach for these last 4 games of the year. Mookie Wilson had to go home to South Carolina. His sister passed away, so our condolences to Mookie and his family. But isn't it nice to see Wally out there wearing 86?
How about, oh.
Well, you know, 6 was taken. That was his number with the Mets. Nick Evans says that. But 86 seems like the perfect number.
Yes, it does.
Ruben Tejada will lead off for the Mets in the home fourth. Willie Harris and Nick Evans to follow against Roy Halladay. Meanwhile, in the National League wild card race, the Braves starting the day with a 2-game lead. They've now fallen behind Washington 1-0 in the 5th. Wilson Ramos with a home run for the Nats. The Cardinals, though, also trail 1-0 to the Cubs. That game has gone to the 5th inning. Both wild card races coming down to the final days of the season, with all the division races already wrapped up. Ruben Tejada takes a strike, but there are a couple of other competitions going on for seeding in both leagues. Arizona and Milwaukee come into the day separated by 1 game. Milwaukee 93 and 65, Arizona 92 and 66. Whichever team finishes with the better record will get home field in the first round.
Well, that's important.
If they finish the year tied, Arizona has the tiebreaker because they won the season series from Milwaukee. And same deal in the American League. Detroit and Texas are a game apart. Detroit is 91 and 67, Texas 92 and 66, so same thing holds there. Whichever team finishes with the better record will get a first round home field advantage. 1-2 to Tejada, who bounced out to third his first time up. And he hits one down to third. Polanco coming out wide. And a nice throw to get Tejada one away. So 1 out and nobody on, and Kevin Burkhart's been under the weather, but he's back and feeling a little better, Kevin?
Took a few days, Gare, but starting to get back to feeling like a human being, thanks. You know, speaking of feeling better, I was talking to Lucas Duda today, and I asked him exactly how he's feeling, and he's feeling frustrated. You know, I asked him about his head, and he said, you know, look, I'm not having the pounding headache, but it's constant, kind of in the back of my head, and I feel it just enough to annoy me. It's not bad, but it is there. He said the MRI came back clean, but the doctors are obviously concerned about the headache. And he said, for me, man, it's weak. You know, I don't want to end the season this way. I want to show the team that I'm there for them. Jason Bay actually had to come over and say, listen, you got to take it easy. This is no joke. I know you don't think it's that big of a deal, but it is that big of a deal. So, you know, Lucas feels decent. He's got that little headache in the back of his head. We're not going to see him again this year. That's the bottom line, guys.
Hey, Kevin, clarify for me, because with both Duda and with Pagan, we have not heard the doctors call what they have concussions, and yet it seems as though they have concussion-like symptoms. So are the Mets basically treating those two as though they do have concussions?
I think they are. You know, they haven't laid that out yet, and I think Lucas, it's really the only symptom he has. He only had dizziness when he ran into the fence. He didn't have it the next day. He isn't sensitive to light, any of those other symptoms. But you know, because there is that one symptom, the ongoing headache, it's a symptom, but they don't want to call it a concussion yet. But I mean, it certainly seems like it could be, you know, Gary. So that's what they're going with, symptoms.
Harris shoots one out to left. Ibanez comes on and slides to make the catch. Well, he may not move all that quick, but Ibanez, a sure-handed outfielder at age 39.
Well, I tell you, when you got your ace out there, and I think with this team, it's both of them, Lee and Halladay. We talked about it earlier. You get a little more of a lilt in your step. You're on your toes. You got a pitcher out there that works fast, throws strikes. You're going to make plays behind him defensively.
So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Nick Evans. Evans retired from a slow ground ball to third his first time up. And he pops one up. Utley going out and calling, making the catch. Side retired. 10-pitch inning for Roy Halladay. He's rolling with a 9-0 lead after 4.
Called for the second time this year in September. In 54 games with the Bisons in AAA. Had 21 saves.
Last pitched on Tuesday in St. Louis, a scoreless inning. Top of the batting order, Jimmy Rollins already up for the 4th time. He's gone 2 for 3 today. Single to right, single to center. He's stolen a base, scored 2 runs. Rollins, Utley, and Pence for the Phillies in the 5th. They've scored in each of the first 4 innings. And another one knocks the mask off Paulino.
Oh, it's like, Dad, why did you put the gear on me when I was 5 years old? Couldn't you have made me something else?
It's a painful position, isn't it?
Oh.
That's why they call them the tools of ignorance. Not because they're not smart, just because they're ignorant about the pain when they put those things on. And then they're stuck.
But it's the fastest way to the big leagues.
That's the truth. There's such a dearth of great catching around as Rollins serves one into left field for his 3rd hit of the game. So he's hit one to right, he's hit one to center, and now he strokes one to left, and Rollins is aboard to start the 5th. That's 13 Philadelphia hits. It's the 6th time in the last 10 games the Phillies have had 10 or more hits, but they've gone 1-8 over the first 9 of those games.
They've left them all on base.
So here's Utley, who has singled in a run, walked and scored a run, 1 for 2. And a strike to Utley. Phillies have so many hits, we've lost count. That was actually 14 hits. Mike Pelfrey went just 3 innings today in his last start. 5 runs, 9 hits. DJ Carrasco worked an inning, gave up 4 runs and 4 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts, and a hit batsman. And now Dale Thayer, 30-year-old right-hander from Chico State. Where is Chico State?
Chico State is Northern California. I forget the town. It's above Sacramento. It's north of Sacramento. In between Sacramento and Eureka for all you Californians here in New York.
Well, there are many of those. Many bi-coastal folk.
It had a reputation when I was in high school as being one of the biggest party schools in the U.S.
Maybe we got to check with Dell about that. Must have had a good time.
Maybe Doogie can look up where Chico State is a city. I can't think of it off the top of my head. I should know. They recruited me, you know, and I said, no, you party too much over there. I'm very serious about my baseball.
Utley hits one to Tejada, turns and fires to get the force play on Rollins.
And Tejada continues to impress with the glove. Makes the play there for the first down. Mets upcoming schedule brought to you by American Airlines, and after today, just 3 skinny games to go. The Cincinnati Reds, who won the National League Central last year but have had a disappointing season, come to town for 3 games tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Wednesday afternoon. Remember, you can hear every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Here's Hunter Pence, 2 for 3. He's driven in 3 runs with a 2-run homer and a single. And bailing out, he takes ball 1. The Reds actually come into play today with the same record as the Mets at 76-82.
It's been a disappointing year for the Reds. Pitching has been their problem.
Well, how about the trials and tribulations of Dontrelle Willis? They called him up. I think this is his 13th start. He's pitching today. Had a 3-0 lead early against Pittsburgh. Let it get away. And now Dontrelle's just driven in 2 runs in the 6th inning to give himself a lead. So he might get his first win of the year. He's been on the verge a few times. I know, there are a lot of people in baseball who are rooting for Dontrelle Willis. He was such a breath of fresh air when he arrived on the scene with the Marlins.
Just another one of those things you just cannot put your finger on. Oh boy. This became as wild as a March hare. Lost everything.
3-1 to Pence, and he pops it up. Who's going to take it? Onto the mound. Turner goes flying as Tejada makes the grab.
Oh, I've never seen that before.
Turner going up and over.
He will get it.
Well, pop-ups near the mound have not been the Mets' favorite play this year. One of those cost them their first baseman for the last 4.5 months.
Well,
and this one costs Justin Turner just a bit of embarrassment.
Well, he'll be glad that there's only 3 days left in the season.
Might arrive at the ballpark tomorrow with some tape outlines on the mound. John Mayberry Jr. batting for the first time. Pinch ran for Howard and staying in the game at first base. By the way, our mystery stat man informs us that Chico, California is 90 miles north of Sacramento.
Oh, okay. I was right.
I don't know where that puts it.
Well,
just like in the middle of nowhere.
It's in the valley, that's for sure.
Which valley is that?
I'm going to say it's the San Joaquin Valley. That's where Fresno is. If I say the whole California State League, it's all, someone's birthday.
Those are very nice hats. Are they going to be wearing those all day?
I hope not.
If he knew he was going to be on television, he might have taken it off. 2-2 to Mayberry. Into center field. On comes Pridey. He'll have to play it on a hop. And another hit falls for the Phillies. So Mayberry joins the hit parade. The 11th, make the 10th different Philly to have a base hit in this game, which is everybody who's played. That is 15 Philadelphia hits.
Well, you knew they were going to come out of their slumber sooner or later.
So 2 out of 2 on now. Victorino 1 for 3, doubled back in the first. Since then has flied out and struck out. Attacks the first pitch fastball from Thayer. 0-1. Now the Rays just hit another home run. Kelly Shopik goes deep. Their 4th home run of the game. Tampa Bay 5, Toronto 2. That's in the 6th.
I can hear you knocking. But you can't come in?
I don't know. Right now, Red Sox have the door wide open. Yankees 6, Red Sox 2. That game goes to the 8th. Hit sharply, might be 2. Reyes, excuse me, there are 2 out. And that is the 3rd out. So Reyes makes a nice backhand play and throws out Victorino to get Thayer through the 5th. And a very happy birthday to you. How far the Phillies push Halladay today. His last tune-up start, getting ready for the opener of the National League Division Series on Saturday. And Justin Turner has been smiling since he went back in the dugout and absorbed all sorts of razzing from his teammates about tripping over the mound on that pop-up earlier. Handling it good-naturedly, I'm sure. Turner has one of the Mets' 2 hits, a long double to center in the second. And he takes the breaking ball from Halladay for ball 1. Halladay threw just 45 pitches in the first 4 innings. Met pitchers, on the other hand, have thrown 115 pitches today. 1-1 to Turner. Of course, Halladay is one of those guys who, once he gets the lead and settles in, and we've seen this with him before, he tends to have very fast innings. He had a game against the Mets earlier this year where he won the game 11-0, and he was like a machine once he got that lead in the middle of the game. Ryota Igarashi, next man up in the Mets bullpen. And Turner fouls it back. Well, things are getting dicier as you look at Halladay's previous starts against the Mets this year. Things are getting dicier for Jose Reyes as Turner takes a call third strike because Ryan Braun just homered in his last at bat for Milwaukee. Anderson Cooper is now on Pix 11 with a fresh alternative to those tired old talk shows. Be sure to catch Anderson weekdays at 4 only on Pix 11. Here's Mike Baxter up for the second time, and he fouls one away. So Braun is now 2 for 3 on the day, and that puts him at 333. Reyes at 328.
Makes it tough.
So the gap is widening. Baxter breaks his bat and pops it into shallow center. Victorino grabs it, 2 out. So that's 7 in a row retired by Halladay. 2 out and nobody on, and Paulino coming up.
And Halladay making it look easy. Just like a machine. Effortless motion. Hardly any effort. Like he doesn't even break a sweat.
No, that young man is still trying to make up his mind. Mets hat, Phillies jersey.
Wait till he's old enough to vote.
I mean, he must live like in Trenton or somewhere like that. He's an independent. 1-1 to Paulino, who bounced out to second his first time up. They're going to the 7th in Washington with the Nats leading the Braves 1-0. Atlanta's certainly making it tough on themselves, aren't they? I mean, we know their pitching is banged up, but they're not scoring at all now. They got shut down yesterday by Chen-Ming Wang, and now the Cardinals have tied up the Cubs 1-1. That game's in the 6th. So the Cardinals continuing to put the pressure on. Hit hard, nice backhand stop by Polanco, and plenty of time to get Paulino to end the inning. So Polanco robs Paulino, 8 in a row retired by Halladay. The 5th inning brought to you by Ford. Check out the best-selling vehicles with the best-selling values in America. After 5, 9-0 Phillies.
back, and as we watch, and we've been talking about Jose Reyes trying to become the first man ever to win a batting title. It's getting harder because Ryan Braun keeps getting his. Reyes is over today, and you think about the decisions that the Mets front office will have to make, and everybody around baseball will have to make in terms of pursuing Reyes. And we know what he is on the field, certainly, but how about off the field? We see his smile and that on camera all the time. But I talked to Willie Harris and Justin Turner today, guys who share lockers right near Reyes in the clubhouse, as Evans will make the play to first, and Banez retired. There's one down. And they just talked about Reyes' personality. Justin Turner said, he never lets you get down. He'll come over and whisper something that'll make you laugh. Willie Harris called him an all-star on the field and off the field and in the plane and everywhere else. Jose actually had shirts made up that say "No PHI AT NYN." Reyes said it means don't get mad. He printed them out for all of his teammates. So he does those little things, and you always hear the term Energizer Bunny, but he kind of keeps guys up. He keeps guys into it. He keeps guys laughing. It's an important quality, part of the total package, guys.
Well, I know this, that a clubhouse without Jose Reyes is a very different place. It's probably quieter. It's probably a little less fun. And the Mets haven't had to deal with that, except for when he's been hurt for a long, long time. He's the longest tenured Met. Came up in 2003, a day before his 20th birthday. And it's hard to conceive of a Mets team without Reyes. It's been a long time.
Well, actually, the both of them. I know Reyes is been here the longest, and you could throw right in that mix too. It's just the two go together. It's like your left hand and your right hand.
Guys, I really think what's made him mature as an off-the-field guy. I mean, he's always been fun and joking around, but I really think that was close. I think Tejada here is really taking Reyes to another level off the field. I don't know what you guys think, but Reyes has really taken him under his wing. And Tejada's a shy kid, certainly a confident kid, but a shy kid. And ever since he came up last year, Reyes has really done a good job of kind of being with him, sitting next to him all the time. And I think that's taken Reyes to a new level.
Well, I think it's all about passing the torch. I mean, that's what Jose Valentin did so well with Reyes, as Polanco strikes out for the second time, 2 out. And you can speak to this, Keith. As a young player, you get counseled by those who preceded you, and then you try and pass that on.
Absolutely. The examples are made by the veteran players when you're a young player, and it's almost like generational in the family. It's in the family. You learn and you pass on to the next generation, and to the next, to the next. It just perpetuates itself.
Carlos Ruiz 2 for 2 and a walk today. He's driven in 2 runs, and he grounds one toward the hole, a base hit. So Ruiz is 3 for 3, and the Phillies have their 16th hit, their 3rd off Del Thayer. And now Roy Halladay will come to bat for the 4th time. Sacrifice, single to right, and was robbed of a hit. Terrific play by Nick Evans his last time up. Well, when the season ends, as Sandy Alderson put it, October becomes the month of Jose. And I have a feeling that once the season ends, the Mets are going to try and strike quickly. Now, if you would certainly expect Reyes' agents to wait for free agency to begin and wait to hear what other teams have to say. But I have a feeling that when the year ends, the Mets are going to try and make some kind of preemptive offer.
Well, the other side of the coin is this, too. The Mets have to find out right away what Reyes' motives are. That's a foul ball. I think, it's strike 3. They want to find out what Reyes' motives are. So, if Reyes is going to be tentative about and not make us, they're not going to be able to find out. They want to find out so they can know which direction to go to before the winter meetings.
6th inning at Citi Field, 9-0 Philadelphia. Citi Field. We had sunny skies when the game began. Things have clouded up, but no rain. Final few looks at this gorgeous ballpark for 2011 today, and then 3 more games. Let's finish up their season on Wednesday afternoon. The Phillies and Roy Halladay will be continuing on into the postseason. Jason Pridey leads off in the home 6th. Pridey has one of the Mets' 2 hits in this game. Probably should have been scored an error. He rolled one on the right side. Utley made a nice stop, and now Pridey has a legitimate hit as Pence has to chase this one to the fence. And Pridey goes to second and pulls in there with a double. You know, we've said this all along about Jason Pridey. The more he plays, the better he hits. Playing his 3rd straight game, had 2 hits in the 2nd game yesterday and 2 more hits today.
Well, it's tough when you're on the bench. It's the toughest job in the game.
So Pridey's at second with nobody out. So he has 2 of the 3 made hits today. Now Josh Thole will bat for the pitcher. Thole played the 2nd game of the doubleheader yesterday. Went 1 for 4, drove in a pair of runs. His hit put the Mets in front. And he lines this one to center. Victorino coming on to make the shoestring grab. So Thole hit it hard. And Victorino puts it away for the first out.
Well, Victorino gets a nice jump. He's wearing a mouthpiece, too. See, more and more players wearing mouth guards.
Looks like a jack-o'-lantern.
What the heck is going on? Jeez, Pizza. That, and they got their quaffing their eyebrows. What the hell's going on?
Here's Reyes, and the at-bat's becoming more and more important for Reyes if he wants to win this batting title. He's now 5 points behind Ryan Braun. Braun 2 for 3 today, up to 333. Reyes 0 for 2, down to 328. Looking to attack early against the splitter by Halladay. 0-1. Ruben Tejada on deck. Reyes today's flight out to right, grounded to second. Halladay bidding for his 19th win of the year. His 188th career win against 92 losses. Reyes hooks one deep down the right field line, but it goes foul into the Pepsi porch, but on the wrong side of the pole.
It's a long strike.
Reyes has hit 5 home runs this year. Came into the day with great numbers against Halladay, but 0 for 2 today. Ball and 2 strikes to Reyes.
That was a good pitch right there. Pulled up a home run foul. Came in with a real hard cutter off the plate. Purpose pitch. He meant to throw it for a ball. Now he can go and do whatever he wants. Oh, he wanted that pitch.
Now on 2-2. Reyes strokes one to left field, and that'll fall for a base hit. Pridey to third, and Reyes has his first hit of the afternoon. So Reyes, for the 5th straight game, has a hit. He'll get one more at bat in this game.
Terrific at bat by Jose right there. Behind the count. Really, really a good at bat.
That gets him up to 330. So he's now 3 points behind Braun. Matt Kemp plays later this afternoon in San Diego. So 1st and 3rd and 1 out. Mets with their best scoring chance of the day. Ruben Tejada twice has grounded out to third base, 0 for 2. Willie Harris on deck. Push to the right side and grabbed by Utley, and Reyes able to dive back in. So a little jam job, and Utley picks it off for the 2nd out. So Tejada unable to get the run in.
Well, they know how to defend Tejada, don't they?
Good awareness by Reyes to get back. So now 2 out. Here's Willie Harris. 0 for 2. Line 1 to left his last time up, but Ibanez made a nice sliding catch to rob him of a hit. 1st and 3rd and 2 out. Willie takes one wide for ball 1. Nick Evans would be next. They're in the bottom of the 7th now in D.C. Still Nationals 1, Braves nothing. Braves 2 games up on the Cardinals. St. Louis still tied 1-1 with the Cubs. They're in the bottom of the 6th in St. Louis. Ryota Igarashi getting ready to pitch the 7th inning. Halladay, a rare time, behind 2-0. And a 2-0 breaking ball sits high. Halladay has not walked a batter today, and for the season he's walked 34 batters in 234 innings.
And 4 of those walks were intentional. So let's just say 30, huh?
And there's ball 4. So the first walk of the day by Halladay, who has averaged 1.3 walks per 9 innings, by far the best figure in the league. So now the Mets on the bases loaded with 2 down, and Nick Evans coming up. Evans has bounced to 3rd, popped to 2nd, 0 for 2, getting his first crack in his career at being a cleanup hitter, and now presented with a cleanup opportunity with the bases full. Friday at 3rd, Reyes at 2nd, and Harris at 1st. 34-year-old Roy Halladay throws a curveball for a strike. 0-1 to Evans. Justin Turner on deck. Roy Halladay has beaten the Mets each of the last 7 times he started against them. It goes back to 2006 when he was with the Blue Jays.
He's 8-2 lifetime in 10 starts, so he's never had a no decision against the Mets. 8-2 with a 3.13 over 72 in a 72 innings pitched.
First time the Mets saw Halladay, he was a struggling young pitcher working for Toronto. He and Chris Carpenter were on the same staff in Toronto, and both struggled greatly as young pitchers. In Halladay's case, he went down to the minor leagues, worked with Mel Queen, who's recently passed away, reworked his delivery, and came back a different pitcher. And by 2003, he was the best pitcher in the American League and won 15 straight decisions. Won the Cy Young that year, won it again last year. 1-2 to Evans. Tapper foul down past Chip Hale. And Evans down swinging on the cutter. Halladay takes care of Evans, and the Mets leave him loaded in the 6th. Only the 2nd strikeout, making the 3rd strikeout of the day for Halladay. Still 9-0. Broadband.
It's my own neighborhood.
That was a gridlock neighborhood this week.
Sure was.
Frozen zones everywhere.
Yep, but it's on 49th and 2nd.
Looks like traffic's flowing a little better today around the UN.
Looks like going downtown doesn't look too good.
Well, that's every day. Ryota Igarashi will pitch the 7th inning for New York.
Igarashi has not had a good season. The ERA is reflective. His issues are overthrowing. Look at the walks, 24, 34, and 2/3, and hits. A lot of base runners.
Wilson Valdez is going to bat for Jimmy Rollins, leading off in the 7th inning. Rollins went 3 for 4 today after banging out 3 hits in the nightcap of the doubleheader yesterday. So Rollins appears to be back on track, and he'll get the last 3 innings off. So Valdez, who played both ends of the doubleheader yesterday, played second base in the first game, third base in the nightcap, and went 1 for 5. Will bat for Rollins here. Del Thayer went 2 innings in relief, allowed no runs and 3 hits. And now Igarashi, the 4th Met pitcher of the afternoon. And Valdez takes a strike. It'll be Valdez. Chase Utley is due up next. And then Hunter Pence. Meanwhile, in the Bronx, they're now in the bottom of the 8th. Yankees 6, Red Sox 2. The lead getting thinner by the moment.
Tampa Bay
Still leading Toronto 5-2. They go to the bottom of the 8th in St. Pete. So it certainly appears as though, barring big rallies in the 9th, that the Red Sox lead will be down to half a game going into the night game tonight. Turner throws out Valdez, 1 away. It's 1.5 right now. That Tampa Bay game's now in the bottom of the 8th. 5-2 Rays. And of course the Red Sox play tonight in the Bronx, a second game. Antonio Bastardo up in the bullpen. Out of town score is brought to you by Volkswagen. So
it's getting dicey.
The noose just gets a little tighter.
Can't say that I'm enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it. I am.
You are enjoying it. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm not a Red Sox fan.
What?
I'm not a Red Sox fan.
Is there any particular reason? It's just playing them in the World Series or something else that troubles you about the Old Town team?
It has nothing to do with the Yankees. Always like the underdog. Tampa Bay is not a high salaried team. They lost a lot of people in the offseason. I'd say what a job he's done, Madden's done with that ball club. I'm pulling for them to get in.
So for the 86 years that the Red Sox didn't win a World Series, were you more in the Red Sox corner because they were the underdog?
No. I never was an American League fan, but now that I have to pay attention to both leagues, because that's my job.
1-2 to Utley. I'm just trying to get the parameters of this. Wonder whether there's some traumatic incident that happened between you and
over baseball
and
it's
those
a game.
Bostoners. Well, I don't know. Maybe when you were in Cleveland, there was some dust up, and you and some Red Sox player had a tete-a-tete.
No, of course not.
Maybe it's because you just don't like listening to WEEI.
I'll pull for the underdog, the team that doesn't have the high salary, to sneak in, and I'll relish it.
Gotcha. Well, certainly Tampa Bay would be a fantastic story this year.
Unbelievable.
After they had their team torn down, basically, after last year.
And the Red Sox would be an incredible story of a collapse.
Well, it would certainly take a lot of the pallor off the Mets' 2007 collapse, which is, at this point, cited by many as the worst ever. I think the Red Sox might outflank that team.
Well, you know, the years, how many years did the Phillies live with that label until, of course, the Mets?
64 Phillies, who led by 6.5 with 12 to play.
Mets were 7 with
17 to play. So they're both on, they were in the same ballpark. Hunter Pence on deck. Of course, then there were the 51 Dodgers. They were, what, 13.5 in front of the Giants? And wound up losing on the Bobby Thompson home run. Now the 2-2. Low inside. Of course, there was the Red Sox of '78 who had the huge lead over the Yankees and lost on the Bucky Dent home run in a one-game playoff. So
I was pulling for the Yankees that year.
I think the other one that people cite was the '95 Angels, who had a huge lead late over the Mariners and wound up losing. Utley lifts it out to left, and Harris, right behind the brown patch, makes the catch for the second out. What is with that patch in the outfield? Is that just a place where left fielders have been standing all year?
Yes, that is where it needs fertilizing.
There's a little discoloration in right field as well, not quite as pronounced.
Nor center field.
You know, it used to be at Shea Stadium. There was a kind of a brown patch in right field where Darryl Strawberry played.
That's when Mr. McCarver called it Strawberry Patch, if I recall. Used to really upset Darryl.
Well, you remember what Timmy used to say. He's playing too deep.
Oh, Darryl used to go. I used to just say, Darryl, don't even listen. Why are you letting that get you all upset? Come on.
Why would anybody listen to what people on TV
And I don't
say?
mean that disparaging to McCarver. You know, it's his job. It's just, why do you want to listen when you're a player to criticism? You know, you just don't listen.
Well, I think that's harder for some guys than for others.
Yep.
I know Josh Tolley was quoted very recently as saying the one thing that he's learned this year is that he just can't listen to what people are saying about him. And I think that's really true. I think that's true for every player.
If I'm a player, am I going to get up and watch the on SNY, watch the fast forward or the replay of the game in the morning? I don't think so. I have better things to do.
Wheelhouse?
I was there. I don't need to see the replay.
You're going to watch Wheelhouse instead? Loudmouths?
Beer money.
All quality shows, but probably not a good thing for the players to tune in. 2-2 to Pence. Off the plate and a full count. Roy Halladay's got that focus on, doesn't he?
I think he's done for the day.
I don't know. He looks like he still has that game face. 3-2, and Pence lays off, and Igarashi, after retiring the first two, walks Pence. So the Phillies have a 2-out base runner. Now John Mayberry will bat for the second time. Yeah, maybe you're right. Antonio Bastardo looks like he's
I think so. No, why
in game mode.
He labored a little bit the last inning, and you know what? They're not going to push him. They're not going to push him. That's a good workout for him. How many innings pitched did he have over the 6, Gare?
77 pitches in 6 innings for Halladay. 77.
Yeah, that's
a good tune-up.
You darn right.
Getting ready for his first start, whether it's against Milwaukee or Arizona or St. Louis, they don't know yet. It's got to be a little unnerving when you're waiting to see who you're going to play, and you know it's possible if there's a one-game playoff for the wild card on Thursday, it may be that long before the Phillies know who they're playing in the first round. Little tapper.
Oh,
tough for Igarashi, and he has no play. So Mayberry's got an infield hit, and he's 2 for 2 off the bench. Not much Igarashi could have done about that, even if he picked it up cleanly.
He had I thought he had a shot if he got it barehanded and let it loose and threw a bullet. He had him, but he had the barehand. That was his only play.
So the Phillies have their 17th hit. 2 out and 2 on for Shane Victorino. Victorino doubled back in the first. Since then he's flied out, struck out, grounded out. They're now in the 9th in the Bronx. Yankees 6, Red Sox 2. And it's popped up. Reyes into shallow center field to grab it and retire the side. So Igarashi works through a scoreless top of the 7th. Stretch time at Citi Field, 9-0 Phils. PHIAT.com. Last Sunday at Citi Field for 2011. Nice crowd on hand to watch the Mets try for the sweep of the Phillies, but it's gone the Phillies' way today as they look to snap an 8-game losing streak. A lot of Philly fans have made their way up from South Jersey and beyond. It's never too late in the season, is it? Come with your Stewie t-shirt to a ball game.
Beautiful weather. I mean, normally it could be cold at this time of year.
Nothing like seeing yourself up on the big board. Do I look like that?
Garrett, you got the open, Garrett. We always open up with you.
By the way, it's headphone day. To the young lady with her earbuds that she got when she came in. Big Syracuse fan. Does she know they're moving to the ACC?
I've lost track of what's going on. When the season's over, I'm going to have to go online and figure out what the heck they're doing with all this stuff.
Wilson Valdez, who pinch in for Rollins, stays in his short, and Antonio Bastardo takes over on the mound for Roy Halladay. Bastardo's seen his season kind of blow up on him over the last 2 months. Got off to a brilliant start this year.
Yeah, he's a star, though, of the future. If he doesn't hurt his arm, we like him. We liked him when he first came up, and he struggled with his control. What a year he's had. As Gary said, he's kind of slowed down. Oh, they're having fun. There you go.
Lazy Mary will get anybody on their feet.
I got rhythm.
It's a different tune. Justin Turner will lead off the home 7th inning. So Halladay went 6 innings, allowed no runs, 4 hits, walked 1, struck out 3. They'll finish the season with a 2.35 ERA, which right now is second in the league behind Clayton Kershaw, who makes his final start of the year for the Dodgers this afternoon. And that game's just underway with the Dodgers up 1-0 early. Turner's 1 for 2, has one of the Mets' 4 hits, a double back in the 2nd inning. Meanwhile, it's a final in the Bronx. Yankees beat the Red Sox 6-2. Adrian Gonzalez struck out looking to end the game. And the Red Sox are now looking at just a 1-game lead, which momentarily could be down to a half-game lead in the American League wild card. 0-2 to Turner because they've gone to the 9th in St. Petersburg with Tampa Bay leading Toronto 5-2. The crisis centers are being fully staffed in New England. Swing and a miss, and Turner down on strikes. So Bastardo fans the first man to face him. 1 away. Meanwhile, the Nationals have increased their lead over the Braves. 3-0 Washington as they go to the 9th. Mike Morse with a home run to expand that lead. But the Cubs have gone back in front of the Cardinals on an RBI hit by Starlin Castro. 2-1 Chicago. That game's now in the bottom of the 7th. Here's Mike Baxter, who's 0 for 2.
Cardinals cannot lose, obviously.
Well, they did win yesterday, but the Mets really knocked them back on their heels Thursday with that 6-run 9th. They got shut down on Friday and rallied to win after being shut out for 8 innings yesterday. And, you know, the Cardinals, the last thing that you expect is that their offense is going to go south because that's the best part of their ball club. But they scored 1 run Friday. They scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th, the only runs they scored yesterday, and they scored just 1 run today. It's a bad time for them to stop hitting. 1-1 for Bastardo, and Baxter takes it outside. 2-1. Mike Baxter getting the start in right field today. Pedro Beato up in the Mets bullpen. Mets entire starting outfield on the sidelines probably for the rest of the year, with Pagan and Duda both suffering from concussion-like symptoms, if not actual concussions, and Jason Bay being unable to shake a very nasty sinus infection. That has weakened him considerably. Here's a strike, 3-2. Of the three, Bay is probably the most likely to play again this year, but that's by no means guaranteed. Well, in St. Louis, Yadier Molina just homered off Randy Wells in the bottom of the 7th to tie that game at 2. Molina is having by far his best offensive year as Baxter draws a walk, and he just gets big hit after big hit for that team.
He's a great player. I'm not a great player. He is a solid player. Tremendous defensively. And of course, we'll remember the home run forever if you're a Met fan.
Aaron Heilman will.
You will too.
I just might.
You and Howie.
Here's Polino, who's 0 for 2. Polanco made a terrific play to get him his last time, and he swings and misses. Ruiz didn't catch it, but no advance by Baxter. In that game in San Diego, Matt Kemp drove in a run with a double his first time up, so that extends his RBI lead, and Kemp renews pursuit of the batting lead. Braun is making it tough, having gone 2 for 3 today. But Kemp with that hit now up to 326. While Braun is at 333. 0-2 to Polino. And he hits it in the air pretty well to left field. Back goes Ibanez to the track. Back at the wall. It's out of here. Ronnie Polino with just his second home run of the season. And it gets the Mets on the board. It's now 9-2. Polino's only other home run came on June the 8th in Milwaukee. So he hits his first Citi Field home run as a Met, a 2-run shot.
And there's a veteran right there coming over to the mound, Polanco, talking to his struggling Bastardo. And this is a oh boy, hanger. Right in the wheelhouse.
So after the Mets failed to score in the first 6 innings against Halladay, they put up a pair against Bastardo in the 7th. Jason Pride is 2 for 2, a single and a double. And he taps one foul. By the way, we were talking about Braun leading the batting race. Braun has come out of the game for Milwaukee. They're leading 8-2 in the 6th, so he finishes day 2 for 3. At 333. Reyes right now at 330 and Kemp at 326. Reyes got a base hit his last time up.
Be nice for Jose to get in the bingo.
Friday hits it well to center field, chasing Victorino back. It's over his head. Second one that's gotten over Victorino's head today. Friday's going to keep motoring on his way to third. The relay by Valdez, not in time. Jason Friday with his second triple of the year, and he's got a single, double, and triple today.
Oh, we've seen Victorino here get turned around. He's been so good. And you know what? You play shallow at this ballpark at your own peril. This is a big ball yard, and maybe you just might want to play maybe 10 feet deeper. But Friday having himself a very nice day, 3 for 3.
Hoping for another turn at bat. He'll have a chance for a cycle. He's already got a single, double, and triple. Now Valentino Pascucci will bat for the pitcher Igarashi. Pascucci had his shining moment yesterday. A pinch hit home run. His first as a Met and his first in the major league since 2004. Pedro Beato getting ready to pitch in the 8th inning. And Pascucci takes wide for ball 1. This was yesterday.
Well, that was a nice move by Terry Collins. And that was pinch hitting for the 8th position in the order.
It was Pascucci's 3rd career major league home run after 234 minor league home runs. It's a final in St. Petersburg. The Rays beat the Blue Jays 5-2, and Boston's lead is down to a half game in the American League wild card, and Red Sox will play another game tonight at Yankee Stadium.
Release the hounds.
Red Sox finish their season in Baltimore with 3. And the Rays host the Yankees for 3. And if necessary, a tiebreaker on Thursday. Although the way it's going, the Rays might blow right by them. And Pascucci takes a strike on the edge. 2-1.
Wow. 1 in the loss column, and they'll be even in games after tonight's second game of that doubleheader.
And if the Angels can win, they'll be a game and a half behind and a chance to be 1 game back at the end of the day. So they are keeping themselves alive. Vance Worley getting loose in the Phillies bullpen. Worley, who has been so good as a starter for the Phillies, destined for the pen in the postseason. Just off the plate to Pascucci, 3-2. Well, a lot is going to be on the shoulders of John Lackey tonight, pitching that game at Yankee Stadium. He's been terrible this year, but they need him to be great all of a sudden. 3-2 to Pascucci, and he lines one a base hit. That'll bring home Friday with the 3rd run of the inning. So Valentino Pascucci comes through again as a pinch hitter. And now it's 9-3 Philadelphia.
Well, Bastardo wants to throw his slider, and he is throwing a big nothing but hangers up there.
So the Mets with 3 runs home in the inning. And now Jose Reyes will be coming up. Rich Doobie goes to the mound for a conversation. Reyes 1 for 3 today. 3 points back in the batting race. Meanwhile, in Washington, it's a final. The Nationals have beaten the Braves 3-0. So the Nats, who've just been rolling the last week and a half of the season, put another crimp in the Braves' plans. Ross Detwiler going 6 scoreless innings for the win. So at the moment, the Braves are down to a game-and-a-half lead over the Cardinals in the National League wild card. Cardinals are tied with the Cubs 2-2 going to the 8th. So these races getting more and more interesting by the moment, including the National League batting race. There are the numbers up to the moment. Reyes Braun out of the game at 2 for 3, 333 on the year. Kemp just getting started, and Reyes with what might be his final at bat of the day. Batting with Pascucci at first and 1 out. Hitting right-handed for the first time today. And Jose takes off the plate for ball 1. Reyes hitting .315 from the right side, .334 left-handed. And Reyes swings and foul tips at 1-1.
Big cut. He let it all hang out there, as they used to say. That was a big rip.
If you're trying to win a batting race,
base hit,
you probably want to cut down your swing,
yes,
right?
Be very focused on hitting a line drive.
Big hole on the right side of the infield with Mayberry holding the runner and Utley shaded toward the middle. And that one skips on by, and that'll send Pascucci down to second, which might help the Mets score another run, but might not help Reyes get a hit, because now Mayberry can drop back to fielding depth at first base. Wild pitch charge to Bastardo. So now Bastardo behind on Reyes, 3-1. With Tejada on deck. And that's ball 4.
Boy, Bastardo has lost all confidence. He aimed that one.
So after Bastardo struck out Turner to start the inning, 5 straight Mets have reached base, and that's going to be all for Antonio Bastardo. He walked Baxter, gave up a 2-run homer to Polino. Pridey tripled. Pascucci singled in a run, and now Reyes draws the walk. And Bastardo will exit after just a third of the inning.
This call to the bullpen brought to you by Metro PCS. Get the Huawei M835 Android smartphone for just $29. 9-3 Phillies in the 7th. We'll be right back.
Get what?
Scored 3 runs in the 7th, and now Vance Worley, who's been working as a starter most of the year for the Phillies, will come on out of the bullpen.
Well, Worley's last relief appearance was May 13th, and on the year you can see in the 23 games he's had 21 starts, and boy, what a story he has been this year. Kind of tailed off a little bit in September, but still 11 wins for this Phillies ball club.
His last outing was 4 days ago against Washington. Gave up 4 runs in 6 innings and took the loss. He's lost his last 2. Remember, the Phillies won, what was it, 14 straight games that he started?
Right.
But he'll be relegated to the bullpen in the postseason, and so he's getting a taste of it here, coming in with 2 men on base to face Tejada. Mets have scored 3 times in the 7th, and Tejada, first pitch swinging, fouls it off. Well, this is our last telecast on Pix 11 for the season, and we want to send out all our thanks to our friends at Pix 11 for being so hospitable this year, and especially to coordinating producer Steve Olbaum, an old friend, and he has done such a great job of putting together these telecasts on Pix 11. So our thanks to Steve and all the great folks at Pix 11.
Yes, it's always enjoyable. And we loved our shirts this year.
Very nice shirts.
The shirts were nice.
Love the navy.
Comfortable.
Tejada has his batting average over 300 with runners in scoring position this year, at 305 starting the day. A lot of big hits lately. Lifts this one to shallow left center, and Victorino has it lined up. That's the second out. So Tejada retired, 2 out and 2 on. Willie Harris coming to bat. Harris is 0 for 2 and a walk. Robbed him a hit on a sliding catch by Ibanez in the 4th. Two out and 2 on. And Harris takes a strike from Worley.
Vance Worley came out of nowhere this year to fill a very important role for the Phillies, especially after Joe Blanton went down earlier in the year because of an elbow injury. We saw Blanton pitch a couple of innings last night, but he is not destined for the postseason. Worley is. Vance Worley today is celebrating his 24th birthday. Happy birthday, Vance. 1-1 to Harris, and he checks his swing, a foul ball. 1-2. Well, the Angels now lead 2-0 over Oakland in the fourth. Bobby Abreu with a home run. We got Joel Pinheiro pitching that game for the Angels, trying to narrow their gap in the AL wildcard race. They'll get within a game and a half if they win. Harris gets jammed and yanks one foul. Still 1-2. They go to the bottom of the eighth in St. Louis. Cardinals and Cubs still tied 2-2. If St. Louis wins, they would move just a game behind Atlanta. The Braves will be welcoming in the Phillies for the final 3 games of their season, which won't make their task any easier. Strike 3 called. Harris down looking, and the inning is over. Mets score 3 runs, but Worley comes in to get a couple of outs. 9-3 Phils after 7.
Pedro, it has been a little bit trouble for him of late. He has been giving up lots of hits lately. His ERA is reflective of that. Remember the hot start that he had off. What, he had 19 innings he started out with no runs?
As a Rule 5 draft pick. A terrific beginning to his season, but ever since he went on the disabled list with a cranky elbow earlier in the year, things have not gone well from Beato. But the Mets have kept him around all year because as a Rule 5 pick, you have to keep him in the major leagues all year. Now, next year, that's a whole different story. Once this year ends, the Mets are free to send him down for more seasoning if they think that's what he requires. Raul Ibanez leads off the 8th inning. Ibanez 1 for 2, a sacrifice fly, and he's been hit by a pitch. Beato, the 5th Met pitcher of the afternoon. Pelfrey went 3 innings, allowed 5 runs and 9 hits. Carrasco an inning, 4 runs, 4 hits. Del Thayer 2 scoreless innings, and Ryota Igarashi a scoreless 7. Ibanez, Polanco, and Ruiz due up for the Phillies, who are trying for the 9th time to get to their 99th win of the year.
And then they've got to go on to Atlanta and finish up in Atlanta, where Atlanta has got to win.
Tejada slides over and throws out Ibanez one away. And you know, if the Cardinals win today, it puts an enormous amount of pressure on the Braves, because while Atlanta will be playing the Phillies the last 3 days, the Cardinals go to Houston to play the Astros, have already lost 103 games this year.
And Houston is a team that the all-star first baseman, Mr. Pujols, just wears out, and he hits well in Houston, and he's been swinging a hot bat in September.
Now, the Astros will have their best pitcher going against the Cardinals tomorrow, Wandy Rodriguez. But you have to figure if it's a one-game deficit with 3 to play, you have to like the Cardinals' chances just because of who they're playing and who the Braves are playing. Especially if the Phillies win this game today and go in with a little more mojo into those final 3 games, because normally you get a team that clinched early like the Phillies did. It's it's possible they might let down those last 3 games, but not the way things have been going. Well, how about this? Rafael Furcal just hit a home run for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 8th to put them in front of the Cubs 3-2. Randy Wells, the starter, still in for Chicago, and Furcal, his 8th home run of the year, puts St. Louis in front. The same Furcal who made the key error that cost the Cardinals that game against the Mets on Thursday. Polanco bounces one, and Turner gets over to get it. 2 out. Well, the pennant races are really getting fired up these last few days. Speaking of fired up, here's Kevin Burkhardt.
That's a nice little transition, Gary. I appreciate that. You look to tomorrow for the Mets. Chris Schwinden will get his final start. This is a guy that, after his first start, admittedly was very, very nervous. He didn't think he would get more looks, but Terry Collins wanted to see more. His last 2 starts have been very good. And just maybe, if he pitches well tomorrow and goes on to have a nice career, you could look back at his last start against St. Louis. Bases loaded, 3-1 count against the great Albert Pujols. And I talked to him and went back to that moment with him, and he said, well, obviously there's a lot going through your mind, but you're trying to simplify it. I'm thinking, number one, if I walk this guy, Terry Collins doesn't have any confidence in me that I can make a pitch. And then obviously, I don't want to put it right down his wheelhouse. I'm just thinking, stay back in my mechanics and execute. The call was a fastball away, did that, got him out. Now, obviously, Lance Berkman, the next batter, if you remember that game, hit a laser beam that Willie Harris made a great play on. But it's one of those moments, guys, that you go back, and maybe that's the moment that propels him forward. He said, there is no question that it gave me more confidence, no doubt about it.
Well, it was a huge out for him because he was able to parlay that afterward. He allowed just 1 hit over his last 4 innings in that game. And he had every reason to leave that game with a lot of confidence. He also left with the lead, although the bullpen gave up the game, and Schwinden didn't get his first major league victory. But it will be interesting to see if he can parlay that into some more success tomorrow in his last start of the year. And he'll be facing a good offensive ball club with the Reds coming to town. Hit sharply, a base hit for Ruiz, and he's now 4 for 4. So Carlos Ruiz having himself quite an afternoon. 4 for 4 and a walk.
It's like the Phillies just said, okay, enough is enough.
18 hits they've got this afternoon. And now Worley will take the turn at bat. They would appear to want him to finish this game up. Came on to get the last 2 outs in the 7th.
Well,
and will pitch the 8th as well.
Worley's going to be their long man. He's the odd man out of that rotation, so he's going to be the guy that's going to come in early if needed.
And I thought it was no coincidence that Charlie Manuel brought him in with runners on base. And that's something a starting pitcher just isn't used to, and just to get his feet wet for what could be a dicey situation in a postseason game.
And he swings a pretty good bat too. He's a good hitter.
Ball and 2 strikes to Worley. And he fouls one back. Well, they've gone to the 9th in St. Louis. Cardinals 3, Cubs 2. See who Tony brings in to try and close today.
Well, they need 3 outs, don't they?
Jason Mott's been getting most of the closing assignments. Fernando Salas is more saves than anybody else for the Cardinals this year. He didn't push the right buttons in that game Thursday. We'll see if he can do it today and get the Cardinals within 1 game going into the final series of the year. Ross Detweiler and the Nationals shutting out the Braves today. Here's the 1-2, and Worley hits a tapper back to the mound. And Beato makes the underhand toss to end the inning. A hit and one left. We go to the bottom of the 8th at Citi Field with the Phillies up 9-3. For the 8th. Here's Chris Schwinden, who will make the start tomorrow for the Mets against the Cincinnati Reds, and Homer Bailey as the Mets begin their final series of the year. Nick Evans will lead off for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. Turner and Baxter to follow. Meanwhile, as we follow the National League batting race, Matt Kemp just flied out in his second at bat, so Kemp is 1 for 2, still at 326. Ryan Braun finished his day at 333, and Jose Reyes is at 330. Reyes may or may not get one more at bat, depending what the Mets do in the 8th and 9th. They only need to get one base runner to get Reyes another turn at bat. Evans has gone 0 for 3 in his first ever game as a cleanup hitter. He's grounded out, popped up, and struck out. Ray Halladay went 6 scoreless innings for the Phillies. He's in line for his 19th win of the year. Antonio Bastardo gave up 3 runs and 3 hits in a third of an inning before Worley came in to bail him out. And Worley has come out of the bullpen looking sharp.
Well, I've liked him from the get-go. He throws strikes, good slider, pitches inside.
Line left field, and Evans has a base hit. Ibanez shuffles over to get it, and so Evans has the Mets' 8th hit of the afternoon. Josh Stinson is up in the Mets bullpen. So leadoff man on in the bottom of the 8th, and here's Justin Turner. Turner's 1 for 3, doubled over Victorino's head in center field back in the 2nd, and since then has struck out twice. And a call strike to Turner, 0-1. Slider off the plate from Worley, a ball and a strike. Tony La Russa's gone to Jason Mott to try and close that game, and he's got the first 2 outs in the 9th inning with the Cardinals up by a run. upstairs to Turner, and it's 2-2. Both the National League and American League wildcard races 2 weeks ago looked like they were over. And now they're anything but.
What did Yogi used to say?
I believe he said it ain't over until it's over. And he said that in 1973 when the Mets were in last place on the 30th of August and wound up going to the 7th game of the World Series. But he'd only pitched George Stone in Game 6.
Yep.
Center field, Victorino with a long run, and he can't get this one either. Evans legging to third. He'll be waved around. Evans coming in to score. Turner with his second double of the game. Second time he's beaten Victorino. And now it's 9-4. That's 3 of them that have gotten over Victorino's head today.
Fastball in, and they're turning on his fastball. Boy, he's not used to seeing the ball get by Victorino. Nice read by Evans. Very nice.
So Turner with his second double of the game, his 30th of the year. That ties him with Reyes for the club lead in doubles. And his 51st run batted in. Now Mike Baxter is 0 for 2 in a walk. Well, it's a final in St. Louis. Cardinals beat the Cubs 3-2 on Rafael Furcal's home run in the bottom of the 8th. And so the Cardinals, with 3 games to play, are 1 game behind Atlanta for the National League wildcard lead. Amazing.
It is.
And, you know, they're a game behind. And think about Thursday. 6-2 lead going to the 9th inning. And the Mets scored 6 times to beat them. Otherwise, they'd be even right now.
Yep.
Molino on deck. And Baxter takes inside 1-2. Well, the Phillies will be going to Atlanta. The Braves reeling. The Cardinals now exhilarated after 2 straight wins against their arch rivals, the Cubs, will be going to Houston to play an Astros team that's lost more games this year than they've ever lost. 103. It's going to be 104. They're down 16-1 to Colorado today, the Astros.
So basically, if there's an extra wild card, which baseball wants to add, this would already have been decided. This would have meant nothing.
Right. Well, this year in that race, but in the American League, you'd have Boston, Tampa Bay, and the Angels, and only 2 of the 3 of them would make it. Full count to Baxter. By the way, speaking of, teams struggling near the bottom, the Pirates were hoping this was going to be the year that they would snap that long string of losing seasons. This will be their 19th straight losing year, but they've won 71 this year, the most they've won in the season since 2004. Baxter down on strikes. That's the first out of the inning. So I think that's a franchise, the Pirates, that at least appears to be headed in the right direction. Here's Paulino, got the Mets on the board with a 2-run homer in the 7th inning. His second home run of the season, his first since early June. Batting here with Turner at second and 1 out. Mets were down 9-0. They got 3 in the 7th and 1 here in the 8th. And ball 1 to Paulino. Jason Pridey on deck, and Pridey's got something to shoot for. He's got a chance for the cycle.
That's right. Hits a home run.
He's already got a single, double, and triple in this game. The single was a gift. It should have been scored in error, but he got it, and nobody's taken it away from him. As Paulino fouls one off, Ruiz and back. Who had the last cycle for the Mets?
Wasn't it up in Montreal?
Well, that was Eric Valent, but I think didn't Reyes have one after that?
I'm not sure.
Strike call, 2-2. Yeah, the last cycle for the Mets was Reyes. That was at Shea in 2006. And Pridey's got a shot at one today. Now the 2-2. Up and away. I think there have only been 2 cycles in the major leagues this year. George Contreras from Milwaukee had one. And then somebody else had one just a week or so later. Here's the 3-2. And Polino takes strike 3 call, and he knew it. So Polino down on strikes for the second out. Real stories, real emotion, real drama. And Bill Cunningham. It's daytime talk for real. Watch the Bill Cunningham Show weekdays at 1 on Pix 11. So here's Jason Pridey with a chance for some history. He's got 4 home runs this year. He's got a single, double, and triple today. And he takes a strike. An infield hit in the second. Hit a double down the right field line in the 6th. And then hit one over Victorino's head for a triple in the 7th. Mets have had 9 cycles in their history. Jim Hickman, Tommy Agee, Mike Phillips, some guy named Hernandez, David Wright on deck to pinch hit, Kevin McReynolds, Alex Ochoa, John Olerud, Eric Valent, and Jose Reyes have the 9 cycles in Mets history. 2 balls and a strike to Pridey. You know, the Mets have never had a no-hitter. The San Diego Padres have never had a no-hitter, and they've never had a cycle.
Even with Tony Gwynn.
Never hit for the cycle.
Dave Winfield, too.
2-1 to Pridey. 3 balls and a strike. Well, if you're ever going to get a chance, a 3-1 pitch would be the time to do it. You know it's got to be on his mind, even though he's got a runner in scoring position. Got to be thinking home run here. Three-1 to Pridey, and he fouls it off. Took a big rip at the fastball, and it's 3-2. Full count to Pridey, and he takes it inside, ball 4. Well, that's not a cycle. That's 3 hits and a walk, which is not a bad day. But the Mets will have to bat around again for him to get another crack at it. Well, David Wright will take his first pinch hit at bat of the season. 1 for 4 in his career as a pinch hitter. David getting the day off today. Had the game-winning hit in the opening game of the doubleheader yesterday. Then went 0 for 3 in the nightcap. So with David having gone through some recent struggles, Terry Collins opted to give him the day off. But David bats here for Pedro Beato with 2 out and 2 on. Michael Schwimmer, Joe Savory up in the bullpen for the Phillies. So here's Wright with 2 out and 2 on. And David takes off the corner for ball 1. Mets have a run home here in the 8th. Justin Turner an RBI double. Worley struck out the next 2, but then walked Pridey. So Turner at second and Pridey at first with 2 out. And Reyes will get another turn. David pops one up. Utley trailing out to call. And that retires the side. So the Mets settle for 1 run in the bottom of the 8th. 9-4 Phillies as we go to the 9th. 2-run homer in the first inning off Mike Pelfrey.
Very artistic there. It's like two strips of gum layered over each other. I've never seen that before. Very well done.
When the Mets had Ramon Castro, he was expert in applying the blown bubble gum to the hat of his teammates, but the unblown bubble gum is that's a new one.
Well, Josh Stinson in and got off to such a hot start, but you can see now it's kind of blown up on him a little bit.
Wilson Valdez, first man up against him, takes a strike. Valdez up for the second time, pinch hit in the 7th and stayed in the game at shortstop. It'll be Valdez, Utley, and Pence for the Phillies in the 9th. Phillies 9 runs, 18 hits, just 2 shy of their season high in base hits. The Mets 4 runs, 9 hits. And when the Mets come up in the bottom of the 9th, Jose Reyes will get one more turn. Reyes right now 3 points behind in the National League batting race, so that last at bat of his day will be very big to try and close some ground on Ryan Braun. Poked foul by Valdez, 1-2. The only other game still going on that has impact on either one of the wild card races is in Anaheim, where the Angels are up 2-0 on the A's in the 6th. Joel Pinero's allowed just 1 hit. Bounced down to third, and Turner's got it. Valdez retired. As the Mets well know, Pinero can be awfully tough the last week of the season.
Yes, they can.
Remember the Cardinals came in here for that makeup game?
Yep.
And he pitched a brilliant shutout performance last week of the season.
He sure did.
So 1 out. Here's Chase Utley, who's 1 for 4, an RBI single back in the 2nd. Pinero's been something of a disappointment for the Angels since they signed him as a free agent winter before last, but it'll be a huge game for him to win today. It would get them at least within a game and a half, and maybe within 1 by the end of the night, behind the Red Sox. Boy, how would you like to be in that visiting clubhouse at Yankee Stadium right now? You lost this afternoon. The Rays won. Your lead's down to a half a game. You've squandered almost all of a huge lead. And now you got another game to play tonight.
And you got to talk to the press after the game. Did you see the interviews with Lester and Big Papi after last night's loss? Well, they're going to have to answer the same barrage of questions they already have. Now they've got some time to mull it over and then go back out there for the second game.
Well, we talked about Pinero being something of a disappointment since the Angels signed him. I don't think anybody's been a bigger disappointment than John Lackey has been since the Red Sox signed him to that big contract a couple of winters ago. And today he has a chance to really make his mark. He's got to win that game tonight.
I think if they lose this one, even though Tampa Bay's got the Yankees at home the last 3 games, big strikeout there for Utley's fishing after a bad one. I think Tampa Bay will have the momentum and overtake the Boston Red Sox. And that's how important I feel tonight's game is.
Well, especially as well as the Orioles have played in those, games where they've been playing in the spoiler role. They've got the Red Sox the last 3, and that's no easy task for Boston, the way the Orioles have gotten fired up for those games. So 2 out and nobody on. Here's Pence, who's driven in 3 runs today with a 2-run homer and a broken bat single, 2 for 4 and a walk. Off the plate from Stinson, ball 1. Stinson, the 6th Met pitcher of the afternoon. Mike Pelfrey lasted just 3 in his final start of the year. And unless the Mets have a huge rally in the 9th, Pelfrey will finish the year at 7-13. His ERA at 4.74. 2-0 to Pence. That's a nice looking fastball for a strike. 2-1. Josh Stinson has been pitching to impress in September. He's done a lot of work after a long minor league season.
Driven deep toward the gap in right center. Baxter back on the track. Reaching, can't get it. It's off the wall. Pence on his way around second and heading for third. And he'll make it easily with a stand-up triple. Almost came off the bag, but got back before Turner's tag. Pence with his 5th triple of the year.
3rd hit of the day. 3 RBI, a home run. He likes to go that way, does he not?
All his hits today have been to right and right center. A 2-run homer in the 1st, a broken bat single in the 4th, and now a triple here in the 9th.
Boy, Juan Samuel, the 3rd base coach, did not tell him to slide. It wasn't that, he wasn't a stand-up triple.
19 hits now for the Phillies, 1 shy of their season high. John Mayberry Jr. has had 2 hits. He came into the game as a pinch runner in the 4th for Ryan Howard, who also had 2 hits. By the way, the Phillies record for hits in a game, you might remember this, Keith.
Oh, I was out early in that game.
27 hits, June the 11th, 1985. Phillies won 26-7.
Wasn't Von Hayes had the big day?
Yep. Von Hayes had the big day. Tom Gorman started that game,
yes,
I believe.
I had 1 at bat early, and Davey was out. We were out of it so quickly. Davey told me to go on up in the clubhouse and take the rest of the night off.
You let's see, you went 1 for 2 and came out in the 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah. Von Hayes had 2 homers, including a grand slam, 6 RBIs.
Right. It was a shellacking.
26-7. That's the most runs the Mets have ever allowed in a game.
What year was that against?
85.
Yep.
That was at the Vet, right?
Yes, it was at the Vet.
Which is now a parking lot.
Uh-huh.
Manny Acosta making friends. He's giving away the store.
Season's coming to an end.
He might get a bill. There's a strike. 3-2 now to Mayberry. Yeah, there was a time when players gave away baseballs. They did get a bill.
It was a $100 fine on a foul ball, like they give foul balls away today. I did it once my rookie year. I told the story. And Dick Stella was the first base umpire and said, Keith, I want to let you know it's a $100 fine. And I said, what? I gave the kid a ball. And he goes, oh, I agree with you. I go, but the rules are the rules, and I'm just giving you a warning. It's a $100 fine. I said, what the heck's going on in New York with that commissioner's office? What the heck are they thinking about?
Mayberry gets the walk. Victorino gets another at bat. I'm trying to remember when that changed. Was it the strike in 94, or was it before that all of a sudden players were encouraged to give away balls?
Oh, when Major League Baseball lost their fans in the strike of the World Series.
Trying to curry favor.
That's what it takes.
Win people back. I don't remember whether it was that or something prior to that seemed to change the tide. Victorino takes one wide. Victorino 1 for 5 today, doubled back in the 1st inning.
Politics.
It's all about being fan friendly. It's just a baseball.
Agreed.
How much does a baseball cost these days?
I don't know.
$5? $7?
I wouldn't know. Depends on which kind of ball you want to buy. You're talking about a major league ball?
Yeah.
Or one of those ones that come in the plastic?
Not the little league balls. Not the
balls,
official league balls.
The vinyl balls. Get an autograph on those and everything smears.
I used to have you ever have the rubber coated balls? You play on concrete?
We used to call them semis in California.
Really? I mean, you could use the same ball for months playing on asphalt.
Yes. And it was like a Super Bowl.
You hit it. You hit it. That bounce to it.
Yes.
You ever slide on asphalt?
I've fallen down on asphalt.
It's about the same. It's strike 3-1 to Victorino. I've always thought people who play baseball on asphalt and slide are crazy, but it does happen.
Well, if you're going to do it with leather pants on.
I've seen guys do it in shorts. 3-1 to Victorino.
And he fouls it back. By the way, Clayton Kershaw is making his final start for the Dodgers today, trying to solidify his hold on the Cy Young. Thus far, Kershaw, 4 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. It's like he is on his way.
And he's got a 2-0 lead.
(3-2). Mayberry gets set to run, and Victorino pounds one foul. Josh Stinson trying to wind his way through this 9th. He's already thrown 25 pitches. He'll have to toss at least 1 more. Off goes Mayberry. 3-2. And Victorino hits one down the right field line. Over comes Baxter toward the sidewall, sliding. And did he get it? He made the catch. Boy, Mike Baxter has had himself quite a day in right field. He's thrown out a runner at the plate. And now a beautiful sliding grab as he did the side somersault into the sidewall. Good play by Baxter.
When the lid was down, and Charlie Manuel said he's looking for a closer in spring, and he said, "Oh, well, someone asked about Madsen." He goes, "Oh no, we've tried him in that role. He can't do it." Well, I guess he proved him wrong.
Well, he was not even the second choice. Jose Contreras got save chances before he went down injured. That bubble gum is finding every hat in that dugout, isn't it?
It's amazing what goes on in Tony Carrillo's clubhouse down there, the visitors clubhouse. Tony runs a very loose ship down there.
So here's Jose Reyes, big at bat for him. He's 1 for 3 and a walk today. Jose now at .330, 3 points behind Ryan Braun for the National League batting lead. 3 games to go after today. And Reyes takes ball 1, a ball and a strike. Ruben Tejada on deck, and then Willie Harris. Madsen with a great changeup. Throws the fastball and misses with it. 2 balls and a strike. Reyes has done well against Madsen in the past. 8 for 25 with 2 home runs. That's a .320 batting average against him. And he rips one, a base hit. Reyes has his second hit of the day. Pence gets over and cuts it off, and Reyes will stop at first. So Reyes with a 2-for-4 day to shrink the gap and get a little closer to Ryan Braun.
Well, good for Jose. Nicely done. Off two pretty tough pitchers, Madsen and Halladay.
So that'll get Reyes up to 331. 33080. So he's a little less than 2 points behind Braun for the National League lead. And that's how they'll go into the final 3 days of the year. So here's Tejada with Reyes at first and nobody out. That was really a big at bat for Reyes, because 2 points behind, you can certainly deal with that. If you're 4 or 5 points behind now, it becomes a little more trouble.
No question.
Looking for the Mets' first ever batting championship. Tejada 0 for 4 today, and he takes it low. 2-0. The Angels got a home run from Vernon Wells. They now lead the A's 3-0 in the 7th. Telling you, that clubhouse in the Bronx, visitors clubhouse, everything they hear is a negative. That's
what happens when you are trying to dislodge something out of your throat.
The Angels play those last 3 games. They are hosting Texas, so that's no easy task for them. But again, you've got a team in Texas that has clinched and is getting themselves ready for the postseason. Just as the Rays are playing the Yankees, who are in the same boat. Red Sox might have the toughest task of all, playing Baltimore. 3-1 to Tejada, and he lines a base hit. So back-to-back hits for Reyes and Tejada to start the 9th against Madsen. And Willie Harris will come to the plate. That's 11 hits now for the Mets. So Tejada with his first hit of the day. And now Harris 0 for 3 and a walk. Well, the Mets have certainly shown this week that they will battle you to the last out. And he's pulled down to first. Mayberry goes to second, gets the out there, no relay. So that's the first out here in the bottom of the 9th. Mets were down 9-0 in this game. Got 3 runs in the 7th, a run in the 8th. Got a couple of men aboard here in the 9th. And now Nick Evans will try and keep the line moving. Evans has gone 1 for 4 today, singled and scored in the 8th inning. Whether the Mets win this game or not, they will lose the season series to the Phillies. Phillies have won 10 of 17 coming into the day, and the Mets will have failed to win the season series from any of their 4 division rivals. In fact, it'll be the 2nd straight year that the Mets have not won a season series from any of the other 4 teams in their division, and it's the first time since divisional play began in 1969 that the Mets will go 2 straight years without winning a single season series from a team in their division. And that's something Terry Collins knows has got to change next year. With the unbalanced schedule, you've got to beat the teams in your own division. Ball and a strike to Evans. That's this year. 9-9 against the Braves and the Marlins, 8-10 against the Nationals, and they'll either be 8-10 or 7-11 against the Phillies.
Quick change.
That's his signature pitch. Reyes at third, Harris at first with 1 out. And Evans goes down on strikes. A dastardly changeup from Madsen takes care of him, and now the Mets are down to their final out.
It's a good one. Out of the strike zone, down and away.
So 2 out now. Justin Turner, who's had a nice day at the plate, a pair of doubles, and he has driven in a run. 30 doubles for the year for Turner, matching Reyes for the team lead.
Oh, they're playing games with the sunflower seeds, kicking field goals.
They got tired of the bubble gum.
Indifference.
Harris takes second on defensive indifference. So now runners at second and third, 1-0 to Turner. And Justin takes a rip. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tomorrow night, Chris Schwinden for the Mets, Homer Bailey for the Reds as the final series of the year begins. Mike Baxter hoping he'll get another turn at bat before the Mets turn the page on this one. Out to center field. Victorino has to go back again, and this time he runs it down. Well, Turner hit it over his head twice, but the third time the charm for Victorino, and the ball game is over. The Phillies snap their 8-game losing streak as they build a big lead early behind Roy Halladay, who wins his 19th, and salvage the finale of the 3-game series 9-4.
Well, the Mets will take 2 out of 3. Disappointing they couldn't sweep the first place Phillies. Reyes right there, 2 hits, keeps pace, moves up a point now at 331, Gare. And we got Braun at 333. So it's a real tight race as far as the batting title is concerned with 3 games left. It's very exciting.
So the Phillies win their 99th game of the year, just 2 shy of their all-time record. And they'll head off to Atlanta to play 3 games with the Braves, who are trying to hang on to the wild card lead. The Mets will stay home to play the Reds for the final 3. Subway presents today's Winners Box Score. Subway, where winners eat. And lots of big numbers for the Phillies today. Carlos Ruiz was 4 for 4. Hunter Pence delivered the keynote address with a 2-run homer in the first inning. He drove in 3, and the Phillies built a 9-0 lead before cruising to a 9-4 win over the Mets this afternoon.